Chapter 49:16. The appearance of the Tao Palace and the celestial soldiers shocked everyone. Everyone's eyes turned red. There must be treasures ahead. Charge! They immediately charged forward. However, they underestimated the power of the celestial soldiers and celestial generals. In an instant, they all vomited blood and flew back. In fact, even the great saint's body was torn to pieces. Damn it, how could they be so strong? The armored giant was even more terrifying. With a punch, even the super mighty figures were forced back. Their pupils constricted. Who was this? A puppet? The Purple Mansion cultivator gritted his teeth. It seemed that they had to work together. Those at the peak of the great sage rushed out and attacked the armored giant. Those at the late and early stages of the great sage attacked the celestial soldiers and celestial generals. As for the others, they couldn't help here. The cultivators at the front shouted angrily, "We'll hold back the celestial soldiers and celestial generals. You guys hurry to the Tao Palace. There are treasures inside. Take them back." Hearing this, the remaining people began to move. Most of them were young geniuses. Of course, there were some people from the younger generation and even some from the older generation, but there were very few of them. Especially when they entered the Tao Palace, the great sage cultivators screamed and retreated. They couldn't enter at all. The others heaved a sigh of relief when they saw this. Only those at the early stages of the great sage and the holy kings could enter. It seemed that it wouldn't be too dangerous inside. The divine general of the ocean abyss and the others also transmitted their voices to Lin Xian, telling them to be careful. Lin Xian and the others nodded. Now they finally knew why the divine generals had brought them here. It was because of the restriction of cultivation. Since the divine generals couldn't enter, they could only rely on themselves. The group walked in. After entering, everyone was shocked. It was vast inside, as if it was a world. They looked up and saw stars twinkling in the sky. It was boundless. Was this really just a palace? The celestial court's methods were truly heaven-defying. The group spread out, each on guard. At the same time, they quickly searched around. Soon, someone exclaimed that there were weapons. Someone picked up a broken sword. It was rusty, but it emitted a terrifying aura. The others saw this and immediately attacked. These weapons might contain the great Tao. If they could comprehend it, they would benefit greatly. In an instant, a great battle broke out. It was not only that place. Shattered weapons could be seen all over the place. Some of those weapons radiated divine might, while others were covered in rust. However, without exception, all of them had the great Tao interwoven within them. Everyone quickly made their moves. Lin Xian ignored him. His eyes flickered as he quickly set off with the group of people from Sacred Origin Tower. "Kid, where are you taking us?" The Flying Corpse King said coldly. Zhu Lai was also dissatisfied. Lin Xian said, "I'm not leading you. If you want to leave, go ahead. I want to take a look inside." "I won't be with you." The Flying Corpse King and the others snorted and left one after another. On the other side, Peng Wanli and the others also said, "Then let's go our separate ways first. If there's any danger, let us know. We will provide support." With that, he left with Xiao Zhuang and the others. Only Lin Xian, Xue Qi, Qing Hong, Zi Hong, and Yanling were left. Lin Xian looked at them. "You guys can act as well. I want to act alone." With a tap of his foot, he flew forward with Xue Qi following behind him. Qing Hong snorted. How arrogant. If they fought alone, they would be at a disadvantage. In fact, they were not the only ones. Some of the other people also formed small teams and searched around. Some of them acted alone. These were all very strong. However, most of them were united. They were all based on their families and sections. In addition to the people from Taiqing Ancient City, there were also many people from Holy Abyss Ancient City. There were people from the Holy Abyss Tower, the three great orthodoxies, the clan of the ancients, and the great sections. On the Tao side, there were many people from the Dragon Palace, including Nangu. The people from the Divine Union did not come because Lin Xian asked them to cultivate properly. There were also people from the Sky Sect and Earth Sect. Yi Wudao, Guang Ming, and the others had also come. Even Bing Ling, the Overlord, and the others had arrived. These people acted aggressively and began to fight for the weapon fragments. A palm split open in the void and split the heads of a few geniuses. Then, it took away the 3 weapon fragments and disappeared quickly. Damn it, it was a spatial ability. It was the people from the Gu family. When the others saw this, they retreated in fear. They retreated one after another. Gu Feng's figure appeared. He looked around and snorted coldly. A bunch of trash. At this moment, he turned his head and saw a figure surrounded by light. This person's light was very faint. He was wearing a loose robe and was very low-key. However, Gu Feng frowned. Yao Guang, you are really haunting me. Do you want to attack me? Gu Feng's eyes emitted a cold radiance. Yao Guang smiled and kept the corpses of those people. He smiled and said, "There's no point in attacking. I like to collect the strength of others. Let's work together. What do you want to do?" Gu Feng asked. Yao Guang said, "I want the corpses and you want the weapons. Let's not clash." But Gu Feng nodded. The 2 of them had reached a temporary agreement. On the other side, Xueqi asked, "Where are we going?" Lin Xian and the others left. However, they only brought Xueqi with them. He said, "Let's go inside. The treasures outside are not worth our effort." Buzz. At this moment, someone charged over from the front. More than a dozen figures surrounded him. "Lad, let's see how you can run now. Do you think that you are safe because you have the Purple Mansion and the Myriad Dragons Empire protecting you? Today is the day you die." Cold voices rang out one after another. These people were the people of the 5 great heads. They had been waiting for an opportunity, and now, they had finally arrived. "You are really stupid." The Myriad Transformations Gates experts walked out. "If you were with the people of the Sacred Abyss Tower, it would be difficult for us to attack you. However, you are so arrogant. You set off with only 2 people. Let me send you off." The people of the Golden Crow clan laughed and looked at Xueqi. They laughed and said, "This beauty is pretty good. Lad, after you die, I will take good care of her for you." With a furious roar, the people of the 5 magnates quickly attacked. Lin Xian sneered coldly. "Do you want to die? I will fulfill your wish." He looked at Xueqi and said, "Don't hold back." "Okay, I got it." Xueqi nodded, and a terrifying ice energy appeared around her body. At this moment, the 9 Yang Divine Body and 9 Yin Divine Body appeared together. The people in front of them sneered coldly. 2 people wanted to fight against them? What a joke! They were all top-notch experts and geniuses. If more than 10 people joined hands, killing them would be as easy as flipping their palms. In an instant, they rushed over. Xueqi and Lin Xian's bodies also erupted with power. Their divine bodies were inextricably linked, and now that they appeared together, it was terrifying. Chapter 49:17. The 2 divine bodies unleashed their power at the same time, and both of them were stronger than before. The dozen or so experts in the front had a cold smile on their faces, but their expressions changed in an instant. "Damn it! Why are they so strong? Awful. There's something fishy about these 2 people. Let's leave quickly." As soon as those people exchanged blows, they were injured and spat out blood. Lin Xian sneered coldly. "Since you have come here, don't leave." He attacked them forcefully, and his body was engulfed by terrifying flames. As for Xueqi, the sky was filled with ice and frost, and in the end, the dozen or so people were killed. The battle here alarmed the people in the distance, and they all came over to investigate. Then they saw such a scene. They all felt their blood run cold. These 2 people were a little too ridiculous. How could they be so strong? Many people wore frightened looks, and some powerful experts' eyes shone with a cold radiance. It seemed like these 2 people were peerless enemies. They must be careful when they meet them in the future. Lin Xian looked around and snorted coldly. He then turned around and continued forward. After he flew for a short distance, Lin Xian stopped and furrowed his brows. Xueqi asked, "What's wrong?" Lin Xian said, "There's a formation here, and I sensed an unusual aura. Be careful." As he spoke, he walked forward. When he took his 3rd step, a radiance flickered in front of him, and a terrifying roar reverberated throughout the land. What's that? The expressions of the people in the vicinity, who were looking for treasures, changed when they heard this roar. This is the roar of a demonic beast. Did a demonic beast come here? It can't be. It's normal for demonic beasts to come here, but this roar can only be emitted by some super experts. But those people should have been blocked outside. Let's go and take a look. One after another, people quickly moved forward. Lin Xian, who was in the front, also felt his blood boil. He was forced back and his face became pale. Are you all right? Xueqi was worried. Lin Xian shook his head. He was fine, and he just suffered a loss because he was careless. He used the immortal art to quickly heal his injuries, and a cold radiance shone from his eyes. His golden gaze, which could penetrate the land. What's this? Lin Xian was startled as he saw the image of a lion. The lion's entire body was golden, as if it was made of gold. It appeared in front of them and quickly walked over. Every step made no sound, but there was endless great Tao interweaving, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. The lion rushed over and roared at the sky. With a trace of fearless strength. Lin Xian frowned, then snorted coldly and waved his hand, sending out a powerful force. 6 Tao Fist. The power of reincarnation surged. With a single punch, the golden lion was sent flying. The golden lion turned into a ray of light and disappeared. Then, it drilled into Lin Xian's arm. What's going on? Lin Xian was startled, but in the next moment, he was overjoyed because he realized that it was a power that could be absorbed by her. Kid, what did you get? Someone rushed over from behind, and upon seeing this sight, he bellowed furiously. Lin Xian turned around and saw a figure standing in the air behind him, surrounded by strong winds. He recognized Feng Shaoqing. Not only was he from the Wind Clan, he was also from the Z Mansion. He sneered and refused to answer. Are you looking down on me? Feng Shaoqing hollered in rage. He was a genius 5,000 years ago, and now that he had awakened, his strength had soared. He had already reached the great sage realm. At this moment, he waved his hand and many cracks spread out, bringing with them the power of the wind. Lin Xian didn't even turn his head. He stomped his feet and terrifying demonic energy interweaved, turning into black lightning that blocked his attack. Feng Shaoqing was forced back, and his expression became solemn. What was going on? More people came? One of them was like lightning, and the other had the power to suppress heaven and earth. They were both geniuses who had awakened from a few thousand years ago. Time-passing water, Saint Sky suppression. They were all from the Z Mansion. Apart from them, the other experts also rushed over one after another. Feng Shaoqing pointed at Lin Xian and said, I saw a golden light enter his body, so it must be some treasure. The others were shocked by such a thing. An expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty walked out and said coldly, Mad God, take out what you got. His words carried a hint of command. In his opinion, the reason why Lin Xian was able to survive until now was because of the protection of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Otherwise, the 5 giants would have suppressed him long ago. Lin Xian glanced at him and sneered. Are you ordering me? Who do you think you are? Friend. The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty was furious. He was so angry that his body trembled. Kid, are you challenging me? His body emitted an extremely terrifying purple light and turned into a giant dragon that roared at the sky. It seems that you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let me teach you a lesson. He slapped out with his palm, and it was like a giant purple dragon that stretched out its dragon claws, covering the sky and earth. Lin Xian snorted coldly and shot out the light of the demon god. It turned into heaven and earth, enveloping and sealing the purple dragon. The two collided, and the void shattered. You don't have the right to teach me a lesson. Damn it. The purple dragon from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had an ugly expression. At the same time, people from the Sacred Abyss Tower rushed over. They were shocked. Qing Hong asked, What's going on with the mad god? Lin Xian glanced at his companions and said indifferently, Just now, a phantom attacked me and was shattered by me. So, it turned into energy and entered my body. There's a formation ahead, and there might be more. Be careful. After saying that, he walked forward. Xueqi followed beside him. It's another formation. Suddenly, another earth-shattering roar sounded. It turned into a golden lion that covered the sky and earth. Lin Xian used the six-path fist to shatter it, turning it into a golden light that merged into his palm. Did you see that? He waved his hand behind him. The people around him were shocked. So that's how it is. Let's go too. For a moment, they all walked forward. The formation in front of them seemed to have been activated. Roars rang out one after another, resounding through the sky. Zilong shot out a terrifying phantom and killed the golden lion in front of him. He also felt a golden light enter his body. His expression changed and he became excited. Great, I feel a force that can be absorbed. He rushed to the left. The others did the same. However, although Lin Xian easily dealt with the golden lion was very terrifying. Someone was immediately sent flying. His body was shattered, and blood flowed everywhere. Damn it, why is he so strong? I thought it would be easy to see that guy shatter it with a punch. These people's expressions became unsightly. The Flying Corpse King looked at these people and sneered. Stupid things, how dare you come here if you don't have such strength? Get lost. How dare you look down on us? The two people were furious and charged over, but they were sent flying by the Flying Corpse King. The Flying Corpse King grabbed their souls and sneered, I'll refine you into corpses. Endless death energy rushed out of his body and enveloped the two people. The two people were terrified, but they soon stopped breathing and turned into two zombies that followed beside him. Chapter 49:18. These powerhouses continued to advance, and at the same time, people continued to retreat. Moreover, they realized that the further they went, the stronger the golden lions that appeared. In the end, everyone's speed became very slow. Even those top-notch experts had stopped. Lin Xian also stopped. He had already shattered 24 golden lions and obtained 24 rays of light that merged into his body. It allowed his power to increase. At the same time, he felt that there seemed to be some god's imprint in his mind. These golden lions seemed to be using a unique divine ability. Lin Xian recalled carefully and discovered something. However, it was too vague and unclear. It seemed that there were too few golden lions attacking. If there were more, it might be possible. The other powerhouses naturally also discovered something. Reaching level 24 was already extremely difficult. Any further and it would be extremely powerful. Even Lin Xian would have to exchange over 100 moves before he could win. Those who could stay here were all top powerhouses. At this moment, an earth-shattering roar came from the front. It was a golden lion that walked out. The light on the golden lion's face was even more terrifying. It even carried a divine aura. Its aura was not ordinary. Lin Xian and the others looked solemn. Moreover, everyone realized that there was only one this time. How were they going to fight? Everyone wanted to fight, but no one dared to act rashly. The people behind had already stopped. It was not that they did not want to go, but they did not have the strength. Some people wanted to risk everything and force their way forward, but they were instantly killed. After dozens of top geniuses died, the surrounding people were afraid. If they did not have the strength to go, they would be courting death. Damn it. Feng Shaoqing saw the golden lion rushing forward. He shouted coldly and used the wind spirit saber technique. The terrifying saber light split the world. The golden lion kept swaying. Although it was huge, its speed was extremely fast. In an instant, it was in front of Feng Shaoqing. Then, it grabbed and slapped at him with an earth-shattering aura. It was like a peerless divine palm. Feng Shaoqing's pupils constricted. He was careless. This one was too powerful. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. He was sent flying by the palm. Half of his body was shattered, and his internal organs were turned into ashes. Damn it! He fell to the ground and screamed. Stupid human! You overestimate yourself. A cold voice sounded. The surrounding people were all shocked. This golden lion could even open its mouth to speak. It was too unordinary. The golden lion in front of him roared at the sky, unleashing its roar divine technique. Not good, retreat quickly. Everyone's blood was boiling. The people at the front were frantically retreating, while the people at the back were at a loss. They discovered that the sound only covered a certain area. As long as they left that area, they would not be attacked. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He stomped his foot and slashed out like a peerless demonic blade. He waved his hands and tore apart the void, charging forward with great force. Boundless ice appeared next to Xueqi, and it froze all of these voices. She also walked over. Apart from them, the others also made their moves. This was also a test. If they couldn't withstand this sound, they probably wouldn't be able to advance any further. In the previous attack, they had all absorbed the power of gold, and their strength had increased. Now, they were displaying their full strength. In the end, 60 people successfully passed. They walked out of the lion's roar and came to the front. The golden lion looked at these people and nodded. The people who came this time were not bad. Follow me. Then he turned around and walked forward. Lin Xian and the others took a deep breath and quickly followed him. They ran all the way. They came to the depths of the Doctrine Palace. The Golden Lion King in front of them stopped. He knelt on the ground respectfully, as if he was worshipping something. Lin Xian and the others behind him were shocked. They saw that there was a golden coffin in front of them. It had an extraordinary aura, and it emitted a mysterious aura. Countless people were shocked. They didn't know who was buried in this golden coffin. Lin Xian was even more shocked. This was because he seemed to have seen this golden coffin before. He had once found a golden coffin in the second astral plane's secret realm. At that time, he had found the toad there. Lin Xian remembered that a woman was buried in that golden coffin. She had a human body and a snake's tail, and she was extremely mysterious. She was even called the Queen by the Toad. Lin Xian was shocked to see such a similar golden coffin again. It seemed like both sides belonged to the same camp. Was that mysterious woman also from the heavenly court? At the same time, could the person buried in the golden coffin be related to the lion? What were the 12 Doctrine Palaces? Were there 12 powerhouses buried? Lin Xian didn't know. At this moment, the Golden Lion King in front turned his head and said loudly, "Trial takers, you will receive a test. If you can successfully pass the test, then we will teach you the Heavenly Court's supreme technique, the Fearless Lion Seal." Hearing this, many people exclaimed, "The legendary Fearless Lion Seal? Could it be that the Golden Lion King was buried here? That was a legendary powerhouse with a mysterious origin and a heaven-defying bloodline. He was actually buried here." Those people had heard of the Fearless Lion Seal before. What kind of test did they have to pass? Zilong, an expert from the 10,000 Dragon Court, asked in a deep voice. The eyes of the others also flickered. The Golden Lion King in front said, "First luck, second, strength, luck." Zilong frowned. "How is this a test?" The Golden Lion laughed. With a wave of its hand, heaven and earth shook. Endless spatial cracks appeared, devouring quite a few people. "Not good." Someone exclaimed and wanted to dodge, but he was instantly teleported out. "Damn it." Roars rang out one after another. Half of the 60 people were teleported out, leaving only 30. The remaining people were terrified and their scalps went numb. Was this the so-called luck? If they were unlucky, they would be teleported out. Zilong's body also turned cold, but he soon smiled. If he wasn't teleported out, it meant that his luck was very good. Lin Xian frowned slightly. Xueqi, who was beside him, had been teleported away. When she left, Xueqi said, "Husband, it's up to you now. I'm afraid I won't be so lucky." Was it really random? Lin Xian was shocked. He turned around and found that his friends were also gone. Yi Wudao and Gu Feng weren't there. Were they unlucky? Lin Xian felt that something was wrong. He guessed that the two of them should have cultivated the imperial scripture, which was why they were teleported away. Outside, the 30 people were teleported out. Many of them cursed. "Damn it, why was my luck so bad?" Gu Feng's face was cold. He wanted to use his spatial divine ability to kill his way back. Yi Wudao, who was beside him, said calmly, "Don't go. You and I have the imperial scripture. It might conflict with the heavenly court's ultimate techniques. If you force your way over, aren't you afraid that the peerless formation here will kill you?" Chapter 49:19. In the end, Gu Feng snorted coldly and did not continue forward. Instead, he went to other places to look for opportunities. Although he had the Imperial Sutra, who would complain about having too many trump cards? But now, it seemed that it was impossible to learn the Fearless Lion Seal. He could only improve his cultivation and Great Tao laws. Yu Dao was the same. He turned around and left. The others, on the other hand, were still waiting unwillingly. In front of the golden coffin, there were only 30 figures left. The golden lion stomped his foot again. The ground cracked open, and another 8 figures appeared. The 8 figures were like statues, and they were all lions. However, according to the order, each statue had one more lion head, from 1 to 9. The aura on their faces was also getting more and more terrifying. You can withstand my lion roar, but let's see if you can withstand the next lion roar. Every time you pass, you will obtain a part of the cultivation method of the Fearless Lion Seal. If you pass all of them, you will be able to learn the complete Fearless Lion Seal. As soon as these words came out, everyone took a deep breath. It seemed to be a difficult test, but they were not afraid. Zilong was the first to walk out. His strength was unparalleled, so he was prepared to take the test. The others watched patiently. Well, let Zilong test it out. They could also use this to infer what their success rate was. Zilong was very strong. After blocking the 2-headed lion, he blocked the 3rd, 4th, and so on. When he reached the 5th lion, he was beaten out. He retreated and vomited blood. His expression became ugly. Damn it. He roared. You lost your chance. Zilong wanted to go forward, but the golden lion said coldly, causing him to stop. The others were also in an uproar. There was only one chance? The golden lion said that there was only one chance. Unless someone had good results in the test, he could challenge that person. If he won, he could take his opportunity. There was only one chance for such a challenge. Hearing this, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. This was really cruel. Zhu Long walked over and asked, "What did you feel just now?" There was only a physical attack. Was there a soul attack? Zilong's face was cold, but he still said it. After all, the other party was also from the Torch Dragon clan. The dragons were still willing to join forces. Zhu Long nodded after hearing this. He felt a trace of confidence. He felt that he should be able to surpass the 5th. However, he still waited. 2 more people came forward, and in the end, they were not even as good as Zilong. One was defeated at the 3rd statue, while the other was defeated at the 4th statue. Zhu Long could not wait any longer and walked forward. He had been defeated at the 6th stone statue. His results were better than Zilong's, but that was already his limit. Zhu Long didn't say anything else. His companion, the Flying Corpse King, was sent out. He looked at Lin Xian, Xiao Zhuang, Peng Wanli, and the others and coldly snorted. Although they all came from the Sacred Abyss Tower, he wouldn't impart any of his experiences to them. Let me do it. Tyrant walked out. The people around them were surprised. They must be from the tyrants. These people's physiques were extremely terrifying. This overlord was also extremely famous. How many statues would he be able to walk past? In the end, he also stopped at the 6th statue. Could it be that no one could reach the 7th statue? 20 people had finished participating, and the highest result was the 6th statue. There were still 10 people left. Everyone was in despair. Among the remaining 10 people, there were not many who had any strength left. At this moment, Xiao Zhuang walked over. He opened his sleepy eyes, yawned, and walked forward. Was this guy still asleep? Sheng Tianzhen snorted. The others also laughed. He looked so unreliable. They guessed that he would be defeated at the 2nd statue. However, to everyone's surprise, Xiao Zhuang passed 5 statues in a row and was about to continue to the 6th. Everyone became nervous. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. This Xiao Zhuang was indeed amazing. It could even be said that he was unfathomable. He didn't know if Xiao Zhuang could pass, but he was also looking forward to it. How was that possible? Zhu Long snorted. On the other side, Tyrant wasn't too sure either. However, Xiao Zhuang actually broke through. He went to the 7th statue. Damn it, how did he do it? Zhu Long was shocked. Zilong and the others also narrowed their eyes. This person's strength was not ordinary. No, someone shook his head. He seemed to be a soul mastery expert. I've heard of him. Logically speaking, his physique shouldn't be so strong. How did he do it? Could it be that the factors in the assessment weren't necessarily physique and soul, but something else? For a moment, everyone was discussing. Xiao Zhuang also went to the 7th statue. He came to the 8th statue. Everyone was stunned and even became nervous. Was this guy going to succeed in obtaining the seal of the fearless lion? However, Xiao Zhuang finally retreated at the 8th statue. He sighed. Forget it, he couldn't force it. He was very open-minded. This guy was the one who had gone the furthest. Countless people were shocked and looked at him with red eyes. Although he didn't pass completely, he definitely had more information than them. When the time came, he might even be able to use this incomplete divine ability. In my opinion, other than strength, there's also luck. Didn't I say before that this test is strength and luck? It's not just luck in teleportation, but also in the assessment. Zilong walked out and said coldly, I want to challenge him. He originally had a chance to challenge him, and he was prepared to use it now. Sure. The golden lion stomped its foot and the ground cracked open, revealing an arena. The two of them were automatically teleported. Everyone was shocked. Was Xiao Zhuang really lucky? Xiao Zhuang sighed, You're really annoying. I'm already sleepy, but you still want to disturb me. Do you know the consequences of my anger are terrifying? Although he was seriously angry in the eyes of others, they all wanted to laugh. This guy was here to make fun of them. Zilong snorted coldly, I advise you to be obedient and give me all the information you obtained, and I can spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. A shocking aura of the Tao of Dragon appeared from his body, and at the same time, a dragon phantom coiled around his body. Then he slapped over with his claw, shattering the void as he charged forward. This claw was filled with an endless amount of murderous intent. Xiao Zhuang sighed. He was struck by the claw and his body turned into countless pieces. The surrounding people were stunned. Was he killed in one strike? Torch Dragon snorted coldly, he can't even withstand a single blow. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The others soon realized that the other party didn't die, but turned into countless butterflies. They danced between heaven and earth. What a trick! Zilong formed a seal with his palms, and the dragon phantom spat out purple flames that filled the sky. Chapter 49-20. Looking at the butterflies flying around him, Zilong sneered. He unleashed dragon fire, which swept through the 9 heavens. He wanted to melt the butterflies. However, the butterflies turned into a sea of vicissitudes. The dragon fire in the sky disappeared. Zilong's face was pale. Feeling suppressed, he spat out a mouthful of blood, his expression cold. I didn't expect you to be an expert. However, you've completely angered me. He roared and 2 flaming sabers appeared. He grabbed them with his dragon claws and charged forward. The terrifying light was tens of thousands of feet long. It was as if a fire dragon had come to life and slashed forward. The butterflies that filled the sky continued to dance, as if they were about to ascend and become immortals. They passed through the endless flames and saber light and arrived in front of Zilong. Zilong felt dizzy. Oh no, it's a soul attack. He had to guard his mind. At the same time, he roared at the sky. However, it was too late. His body fell, foaming at the mouth, and he fainted. Was it over? The surrounding people were shocked. They thought it would be an earth-shattering battle. They didn't expect it to end so quickly. However, Zhulong and the others were frowning. They knew Zilong's strength. The fact that he fainted so easily was enough to show how terrifying Xiao Zhuang was. If it was a battle of life and death, Zilong's soul would have been destroyed. Xiao Zhuang walked down and fell asleep at the side. The arena disappeared. Torch Dragon went to wake Zilong up. Zilong roared at the sky. Damn it, how dare you use despicable methods? What a disgrace. Lin Xian snorted when he saw this. Despicable methods? It was a fair battle. You're not as good as me, so why are you embarrassing yourself here? The Dragon Clan's face has been completely thrown away by you. Zilong roared and stared at Lin Xian. Mad God, do you want to die? His dragon claws flew out, but halfway, they were interrupted by the golden lion. How dare you attack in front of me? You're breaking the rules. Scram. He slapped out a palm, which turned into a fearless lion and sent Zilong flying. Zilong's body shattered. He screamed and flew into the distance, disappearing. Whoever dared to be impudent would die. The others were terrified and lowered their heads. This was a supreme existence left behind by the heavenly court. They were no match for him at all. Zhulong's expression was cold, but he did not dare to say anything else. Outside, those people were still bitterly holding on, fighting against the lion phantoms that appeared from time to time. However, it was very difficult for someone to break through the limit and walk over. At this moment, they saw a figure flying back. What is it? They were all shocked. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that the person had landed on the ground. It was a person. He seemed to be one of the dragons. Wasn't that Zilong? He was a top expert of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty, and he was actually forced out. Who was it? What happened in the battle ahead? Voices could be heard one after another. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people were also shocked. What was going on with Lord Zilong? Zilong stood up and roared at the sky. His broken body healed, but in the next moment his body swayed and his face turned ugly. Although the blow just now didn't take his life, it caused him to be seriously injured. Previously, he had been overjoyed after absorbing the golden light to increase his strength. However, now that he was seriously injured, his expression turned ugly. In that case, he would be lagging behind the others. Damn it. He took out some precious treasures from his storage ring. His expression was vicious as he swallowed them. The surrounding people didn't dare to ask anymore. Everyone could see that the other party was filled with killing intent. Many people even left quietly. However, everyone still heard him roar. Mad God, I will tear you into pieces. I won't let you off. The surrounding people were shocked. Did Mad God defeat him? This Mad God was too terrifying. He didn't even give face to the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. On the other side, outside the heavenly court ruins, two streaks of light flew past one after another. They were extremely fast and entered the ruins in an instant. They arrived at the Southern Heaven Gate. Was this the legendary Southern Heaven Gate? It was indeed majestic. The first person scoffed coldly and walked forward. Very quickly he saw an armored giant charging towards him. That person shouted coldly. His dragon energy was shocking, as if he had turned into a dragon god. He instantly tore apart the phantom. He walked in with large strides. Not long after, another person arrived. This person was surrounded by black and white. He was also mysterious and terrifying. After he arrived, he carefully sensed it and walked in easily. After entering the Southern Heaven Gate, he quickly flew towards the two people in front. Very quickly, they heard a huge battle erupting in front of them. There were also some terrifying great sage. Those people sensed the arrival of two experts and turned their heads. Then, someone exclaimed, "Dragon Prince, are you out of seclusion?" The Dragon Shine race was delighted. The others were also surprised. They looked carefully and realized that one of them was extraordinarily mighty, with 10,000 dragons revolving around him. Without looking at his cultivation, just the aura of his bloodline made him even more terrifying than the Dragon Sovereign. The Dragon Prince was probably the only one in the world who could do that. He actually came too? The Master of the Great Desolation also stared at the other party. But soon he shook his head. No, it wasn't the real Dragon Prince. It was just an incarnation. The Master of the Dragon Shine said, "Dragon Prince, there are 12 Tao palaces ahead." The Dragon Prince laughed. "I understand." He rushed forward and soon entered the Tao Palace. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the Dragon Prince to send an incarnation. But this wasn't the end. Not long after, another expert arrived. He was like a black and white god, making people tremble. Who was this person? His aura wasn't any weaker than Long Huangzi's. In fact, he was even stronger. It was Kunpengzi. When Divine General Wind Snow saw him, he exclaimed. Countless people were shocked. Kunpengzi was also a crown prince. Not long ago, he was crowned as the crown prince. This person's strength was even stronger than the Dragon Prince. Was he here too? He should be an incarnation too. The master of the great desolation shone brightly. The others also looked solemn. The two crown princes had sent two incarnations. Obviously, they were both interested in the heavenly court. Divine General Wind Snow went forward and explained the situation. Kun Pengzi nodded and flew toward the Dao Palace. In the Dao Palace, countless people felt the aura of the two and were shocked. Some people recognized them, such as the people from the Dragon Palace and the Heaven Sect. They exclaimed, "It's the Dragon Prince. Kun Pengzi is here too. Heavens, are they going to enter the heavenly court to obtain the treasures?" Everyone was shocked. In their hearts, these two were godlike existences. They were two huge mountains that stood at the pinnacle of bloodline and talent, making them look up to them. It would be difficult for anyone to surpass the two of them. It was even impossible to get close to them. When Zilong saw the Dragon Prince, he said, "Dragon Emperor, Mad God has gone too far. Please avenge me." Chapter 49:21. What a terrifying aura! Yi Wudao raised his head, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. He sensed the aura of the great emperor. Of course, he knew that it wasn't the real great emperor, but the crown prince. They had inherited the strongest bloodline of the great emperor. He felt as if he was facing a great enemy. The heavenly emperor's sutra circulated quickly in his body, and he seemed to have turned into a golden god of war. On the other side, Gu Feng also sensed it, and the void scripture in his body also circulated. His entire body merged into the void. On the other side, Yao Guang also raised his head, and his eyes lit up. The crown prince? If he devoured the two of them, his strength and talent would probably surpass the crown prince's. He had no expectations. However, he didn't dare to make a move. He knew that the crown prince was too terrifying. He had countless trump cards and might even bring an extreme weapon. It would be difficult for him to succeed. However, he wouldn't miss the opportunity. In the sky, Kun Pengzi and the Dragon Prince also sensed two powerful battle intents. They even sensed a trace of the great emperor's aura. Was it another crown prince? They looked down, and their gazes pierced through the 9 underworlds. Then they stared at two figures. No, it wasn't the crown prince they knew. These two people should be from the emperor race. They had the ancient desolate body and cultivated the imperial sutra. Although their talent and bloodline weren't as good as theirs, they were qualified to compete with them. But now, these two people were too weak. Shaking their heads, Kun Pengzi and the Dragon Prince ignored Yi Wudao and flew into the distance again. In front of the golden coffin, Lin Xian and the others were still trying, and there were less than 5 people left. The one with the highest result was Xiao Zhuang, who had reached the 8th statue. The others couldn't even reach the 5th statue. Could it be that no one succeeded? Countless people sighed. At this moment, Lin Xian took a deep breath and walked out. He was ready to try. Everyone looked over. They had heard of the Mad God's name before. Even if they didn't know, they were shocked by the fact that he had killed 5 experts in a row and fought against the 5 giants. Therefore, at this moment, everyone was talking. There were discussions. Can this guy succeed? I think it's possible. There were also people who shook their heads. Humph, so many people found it difficult to reach the 9th stone tablet. I don't think he has much hope as well. Under everyone's questioning and friendly gazes, Lin Xian walked forward. The 2nd stone tablet, the 3rd stone tablet. Lin Xian's speed was very fast. Soon he arrived at the 5th stone tablet. This was the place where Zilong had arrived. Previously, Zilong had wanted to make a move on Mad God. He wondered if this fellow would be able to pass. Everyone realized that Lin Xian seemed to have passed the 5th stone tablet very easily. Everyone was astonished. It seemed like this Mad God's strength was in the purple dragon realm. Next was the 6th stone tablet. Zhu Long was nervous. This was his result. Could the other party surpass him? Soon, his pupils shrank and his face turned cold. Damn it, the other party had surpassed him without much effort. He reached the 7th stone tablet. Lin Xian also passed, which made everyone stunned. This guy's strength was somewhat heaven-defying. He was going to attack the 8th stone tablet. Would he be able to pass? Previously, Xiao Zhuang had stopped at the 8th stone tablet. Lin Xian walked forward and looked at the stone tablet in front of him. It was a lion coiled on the ground. Its 8 heads were solemn and dignified, emitting a terrifying divine aura. Lin Xian walked forward again. To be honest, the test this time was very terrifying. The lion statue was constantly emitting power. It impacted the body and even suppressed the soul and bloodline. This was a comprehensive test. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid. He was confident in himself. He must obtain the fearless lion seal. He walked over, his aura as deep as the sea, and charged forward. The two collided, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Countless large cracks interweaved. The surrounding people exclaimed. This guy actually blocked it. Zhu Long and the Overlord's pupils shrank. Previously, Xiao Zhuang was quickly defeated at the 8th stone tablet. However, Lin Xian was now able to contend with him. He was likely to succeed. Xiao Zhuang also opened his sleepy eyes. There were butterflies flashing in his eyes. As expected of the 9-yang divine body, he seemed to have cultivated it to an extremely high level. Lin Xian walked forward, waving his fist at the same time. The 6-path fist pressed forward. The other party unleashed the fearless light, seemingly fearless. The two collided again. The battle erupted. Everyone was shocked. Mad God's strength was so terrifying. At the same time, they rejoiced for Zi Long. Fortunately, Zi Long didn't fight Mad God. Otherwise, he would probably be beaten to death. After 200 moves, Lin Xian forcefully broke through the other party's divine ability. He walked over and passed the 8th stone tablet. The surrounding people exclaimed. He really did it. This was the last one. Would he have a chance to obtain the fearless lion seal? The surrounding people's eyes turned red. Although they were all top experts, there were still differences in strength. It seemed that this mad god was above them. They couldn't believe it. Qing Hong and Zi Hong were also shocked. The two of them could only reach the 6th stone tablet. However, if they worked together, they should be able to reach the 7th. However, they weren't confident about reaching the 8th stone tablet. However, Lin Xian did it. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile as he walked towards the 9th stone tablet. At this moment, he suddenly turned around, and an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. The golden lion also roared at the sky. The others were stunned as well. Soon, they felt a power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. What a terrifying aura. Someone was coming. Who was it? Was it one of those peerless experts or super mighty figures? Impossible. They couldn't come because of the restriction of their cultivation. In other words, this person was at most an early-stage great sage. How could an early-stage great sage have such a terrifying aura? They couldn't believe it. Unless they thought of a possibility, and all of them widened their eyes. In the next moment, they saw two figures arrive one after another. One of them was like a dragon god, surrounded by the aura of 10,000 dragons. The other person had a mysterious black and white aura. The Dragon Prince. Kunpeng Zi. Everyone exclaimed. They had guessed that this would be the outcome, but they didn't expect the two princes to really come. Everyone swallowed their saliva. They could feel the suppression of their bloodlines. It was too powerful. It was as if they couldn't even raise their heads in front of these two figures. Lin Xian's eyes also burst out with an extremely cold light. Princes? He clenched his fists. His body also swayed as he felt the pressure. His divine body bloomed with light, and the great dragon sword's soul roared with a terrifying power to resist. Chapter 49-22. Everyone was suppressed by the auras of the two martial emperor's sons, and they could not raise their heads. However, Lin Xian took a step forward, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. There was even the roar of a dragon. Someone was going to fight with the imperial princes. Who was it? The surrounding people were shocked. They looked out of the corner of their eyes, and then their scalps went numb. It was Mad God. They saw Mad God standing beside the 8th statue, looking up at the sky arrogantly. The two imperial princes were also stunned. Someone could withstand the pressure of their bloodline? Who was it? Did this person also cultivate an imperial scripture? There were only two kinds of people who could compete with them. First, they had the imperial bloodline like them. Second, they had cultivated an imperial scripture and had the imperial techniques. Other than that, perhaps only the extremely terrifying experts of the older generation could contend with their auras. Of course, the older generation cultivators couldn't enter, so they had all forgotten about Lin Xian at this moment, and their brows were tightly knitted together. The other party had a monstrous demonic aura. He was a demonic cultivator, so he couldn't be an imperial prince. That was an imperial scripture. He's from the dragons. Kunpengzi said indifferently. The dragon prince frowned. He had indeed sensed the aura of the Tao of dragons in the other party's body, and it was extremely powerful. Which dragons do you belong to? The demon dragons? The dragon prince frowned. However, he didn't take it to heart. Then he asked again, "Who is Mad God? How dare you challenge the Dragon Palace and the 10,000 Dragon Court? Come out and die." As soon as these words came out, everyone's scalps went numb. It was over. The Dragon Prince was really here for revenge. Some people from Holy Abyss Ancient City knew about Mad God's matters. Previously, Mad God had fought with Zilong, causing Zilong to be sent flying. More importantly, Mad God had challenged the Dragon Palace. He had even killed many experts and geniuses of the Dragon Palace. At that time, the Dragon Prince had not come out of seclusion. Now that he had come out, was he going to settle the score? Below, Lin Xian shouted coldly, and his aura erupted again. It seemed that he was going to dominate the 9 heavens. Your Mad God? The Dragon Prince frowned even more. Wasn't he from the dragons? How dare you go against my 10,000 dragon dynasty? Kneel down obediently and wait for my orders. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The people around were going crazy. Was Mad God really going to compete with the Crown Prince? The Dragon Prince stood with his hands clasped behind his back, surrounded by thousands of dragons. He said coldly, "That's right, because I'm the Crown Prince." 10,000 dragons roared under his feet, and an extremely terrifying pressure of dragon blood rushed over. The pupils of the surrounding people shrank and they quickly retreated. Even the Overlord, Torch Dragon, and the others quickly retreated. This time, even Xiao Zhuang retreated. There was nothing he could do about it. The power of his imperial bloodline was simply too terrifying. Would this fellow be killed by the pressure of his bloodline? Some people thought. After all, in their hearts, the Crown Prince was like a god. Lin Xian naturally felt the immense pressure as well, and he shouted angrily. Behind him, dragon shadows appeared one after another, emitting terrifying dragon roars. These dragons were the blood of the 10,000 dragons' god blood. Coupled with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it was as if they had transcended time and space to come to life. They fought against the 10,000 dragons in the sky. Boom! The two bloodline powers collided, causing an earth-shattering earthquake. The surrounding people seemed to have been struck by lightning. Their faces turned pale, and some even vomited blood. Damn it, what's going on? They stared at Lin Xian. He also had the bloodline of the dragons, and he had so many dragon shadows. Was he also a member of the dragons? It was too unbelievable. Mad God was a member of the dragons. This was shocking news. Who exactly are you? The Dragon Prince frowned again. Other than him, who else could command the 10,000 dragons? However, the other party could actually conjure the phantoms of 10,000 dragons. Those were not simple phantoms. They contained the shadows of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Black Dragon, Sword Dragon, Thunder Dragon, Sea Dragon, and various other dragons. It was too unbelievable. If the Dragon Prince did not know that he was the only son of the Dragon Emperor, he would have suspected that the other party was also a Crown Prince. It seems that you have some secrets. Could it be that you have killed countless powerful dragons and used their blood to cast these dragon shadows? If that's the case, I will let you know the feeling of living a life worse than death. The Dragon Prince was furious. He thought about it, and there was only one possibility. His body descended towards the ground. An even more terrifying force swept in all directions as if the dragon god had been resurrected. The demonic chi on Lin Xian's body was about to disappear. An even more terrifying light burst out from his eyes, like two divine lamps that lit up heaven and earth. He seemed to have seen through everything, and then he looked up to the sky and laughed. Don't you think you are too arrogant for a mere incarnation? Incarnation? This was only an incarnation of the Dragon Prince. Oh my God, an incarnation was enough to make them feel like they were facing a formidable enemy. They could not even resist. How terrifying was the Dragon Prince's true body? He could kill all of them with one finger. Wait, in addition to the Dragon Prince, was Kunpeng Zi also an incarnation? Was this a crown prince? He was too powerful. He was so powerful that they seemed to be unable to compete with him in their lifetime. An incarnation is enough to deal with you. The Dragon Prince snorted, and there was a trace of coldness in his eyes. In his eyes, other than Kunpeng, who could make him serious, the others were ants. I heard that you are ranked 1000 on the honor roll. Your identity is indeed amazing, but unfortunately, I am ranked 2nd on the honor roll. I am destined to be crowned king in the future. The difference between you and me is the difference between an ant and a giant dragon. Now I will let you feel despair. The Dragon Prince's incarnation raised a palm, and a dragon shadow surrounded it as if this move could destroy the entire world. Lin Xian's face was cold. He had to admit that the other party was indeed very powerful. Even if it was just an incarnation, he had to go all out. However, he believed that with his trump cards and many unique techniques, he could contend with it. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian's body emitted an even more terrifying aura. He even took out the great spear of destruction. The dragon sword soul was circulating in his body. Was he really going to fight? Could the mad god block this move? Previously, it was only a collision of bloodline auras. Now that the Dragon Prince was going to use a peerless ability, the mad god would probably disappear instantly. This palm of mine is called the Dragon Cloud Palm. If you can block this palm of mine and not die, I will spare your life today. The Dragon Prince's eyes were filled with confidence. It was just a casual attack, but it was not something that others could block. Not to mention the other party, even a great sage cultivator outside would have his soul destroyed by this palm strike. One palm? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The other party was underestimating him too much. Today, he would experience the Crown Prince's unique technique. He also walked out. At this moment, the Golden Lion King roared. Fighting was not allowed here. Those who violated the rules would be killed without mercy. A loud voice rang out, causing everyone's expression to change. The Dragon Prince was even more furious. A lion dares to be impudent in front of me? Chapter 49-23. Boom boom. A terrifying sound tore through the 9 heavens. The golden lion's huge body shattered into pieces and disappeared into thin air. Was it dead? Countless people were shocked. Many of them had experienced how powerful the golden lion was before, but now, it was destroyed by Long Yun in one strike. Other than Kun Peng, no one else could withstand this attack. Mad God would definitely die. Alright, the fly is already dead. Let's see who can stop me. The Dragon Prince circled around. Everyone lowered their heads. Kun Peng Zi stood in the 9 heavens, his eyes flickering. He didn't stop him. He wouldn't go against the Dragon Prince for an ant. Lin Xian's brows were tightly knitted together. This was the strongest enemy he had ever encountered in his life. This was only the Imperial Prince. He didn't know how terrifying a true great emperor was. Lin Xian felt his blood boiling. He gripped the Great Destruction spear tightly, his eyes shining. At this moment, another voice sounded. It's useless. You can't kill me. As soon as these words came out, Lin Xian was stunned and looked forward. The others also suddenly raised their heads, their faces filled with shock. It was the Golden Lion's voice. Was he not dead? In the void ahead, countless rays of golden light condensed, and the phantom of the Golden Lion appeared again. He walked over in the air. Not dead? The Dragon Prince frowned. Kun Peng Zi also spoke. You should be a formation spirit, right? Formation spirit. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian was also surprised. He was a formation expert, so he had naturally heard of formation spirits. This was extremely impressive. It was an intelligent spiritual creature formed by a formation. It was an exceptionally mysterious existence. He didn't expect that this golden lion was actually a formation spirit. That's right. The golden lion raised its head and said, "I'm a formation spirit, so you can't kill me." "Can't kill you?" Dragon Prince Long, then I'll destroy this formation. Without the formation, let's see if you'll die. He was arrogant and unruly. There was nothing in the world that he couldn't do. The golden lion stopped and sat in the void. The light around his body became more and more terrifying. Although you are the imperial prince, this is the heavenly court, the golden lion palace of the 12 Tao palaces. If you want to contend against the true golden lion king, wait until you become a great emperor. The golden lion king's voice was incomparably cold. At the same time, a spell formation appeared in the surroundings. The absolute killing intent caused everyone's hair to stand on end. No one hesitated. Under this attack, no one would be able to escape. Perhaps only a few imperial princes would be able to leave alive. Of course, this was on the premise that these princes had extreme weapons on them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fight back. Lin Xian also felt his hair stand on end. He discovered that not only did the array formation light up, the golden coffin in front of him also seemed to emit a mysterious talisman. From the looks of it, he really did have a peerless trump card. The two imperial princes looked at the golden jar and felt their blood run cold. Kun Pengzi frowned and said coldly, "Long Wugu, I advise you not to act blindly without thinking." This was the fearless Lion King of the heavenly court. The Dragon Prince frowned. The fearless Lion King? So it was him, the golden coffin of the 12 Tao palaces. What, did he want to come back to life? What a joke. Since the great emperor had died, it was impossible for him to be revived. After saying that, he looked at the golden lion in front of him. A mere array spirit dares to threaten me? Remember this. When I become a great emperor, it will be the time of your golden Tao palace's death. As soon as this voice was heard, endless giant dragons roared in the sky, forming an oath. The entire heavenly court was in a state of flux as countless bolts of lightning descended. What happened? The people outside were shocked. Even the Lord of the Great Wilderness, the Lord of the Dragon Radiance, and the others had serious expressions. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals roared with murderous intent. The Golden Lion King's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, "The heavenly court will never be destroyed. Even if you become a great emperor, you won't be able to destroy it. Moreover, how could a great emperor think so simply? Since ancient times, no imperial prince had ever become a great emperor. You won't be an exception. The ancients couldn't do it, but it doesn't mean that I can't." The Dragon Prince took a step forward, bringing with him an earth-shattering, domineering aura. "I was born to break the rules of heaven and earth. I will become a great emperor." This time, even Lin Xian was shocked. What a strong belief, what a terrifying heart of martial arts. He had to admit that the Dragon Prince was simply an invincible existence. He had the best bloodline talent, the most cultivation resources, the strongest heart of martial arts, and the most domineering demeanor. It could be said that no one was a match for him. And this was just the Dragon Prince. Kun Pengzi and Long Huangzi had awakened earlier, and their cultivation levels were higher. How far had the Dragon Prince reached? Lin Xian felt immense pressure, but he wasn't afraid at all. He knew that there weren't many who became great emperors in history, but each great emperor had a different experience. Some were chosen by the heavens, sweeping through the world and becoming the eldest brother. However, there were also those who rose from the dust and stood in the 9 heavens. If the previous great emperors could do it, he was confident that he could do it too. At this moment, his eyes were shining with an extremely terrifying confidence. That was the heart of an invincible expert. Boom! Boom! Thunder fell between heaven and earth once again. In the 9 heavens, the wind and clouds swept. At this moment, everyone felt their souls trembling again. It was as if there was a god looking down on them. The Dragon Prince suddenly turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. I didn't expect an ant like you to have an invincible heart of Tao. Kunpingzi also looked over and nodded for the first time. Interesting person. However, just having an invincible heart isn't enough. There aren't many people in this world who can compete with us. His eyes were also cold. It was a coldness that looked down on the world. At their level, they were indeed qualified to look down on the world. Lin Xian smiled. How would you know if you don't try? My goal is also to become a great emperor. To become a great emperor. The surrounding people were shocked. This was their goal since they were born and knew about martial arts. However, it was just a thought. When they really stepped on the path of martial arts, they would give up on this thought. Because the further they went, the more they knew that it was impossible to become a great emperor. Especially now that they were peak sages, and some of them had even become great sage. However, they were already in despair. They knew that their cultivation speed would become slower and slower. The bloodline talent was like a cage that locked them tightly, making it impossible for them to enter the great emperor realm in their lifetime. In the hearts of these top geniuses, becoming a peak great sage was already a dream. However, this crazy god dared to say that he wanted to become a great emperor. Was he naive or was he really that confident? Kunpingzi shook his head. He felt that Lin Xian was too naive. The dragon prince sneered coldly. Stupid! You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Chapter 49-24. After saying that, the dragon prince ignored Lin Xian and looked at the golden coffin in front of him. Golden Lion King, I want to experience it. He walked forward. At the same time, Kunpingzi in the sky also made his move. Everyone exclaimed. Could it be that these two princes didn't come here for the fearless lion seal but for the golden coffin? Lin Xian also frowned, but he didn't pay attention to it. He was indeed different from the princes. The path to take was also different. Therefore, he didn't need to care about what the other party was doing. His current target was the 9th stone statue. He had already broken through the 9th one. He could obtain the fearless lion seal. From what the golden lion formation spirit said, the golden lion king was also a supreme existence that swept through the 9 heavens. Perhaps only a true great emperor could suppress it. Then, the other party's ultimate technique was definitely terrifying. It should be a divine ability comparable to a great emperor's ultimate technique. He must master it. The 9th statue had 9 heads. Its power was even more terrifying than all the previous 8 statues combined. Lin Xian also felt a huge pressure. Under this terrifying roar, Lin Xian's body even cracked, and blood dripped down. He roared, and demonic energy surged into the sky, covering him and the 9th statue. Because he had some methods that he didn't want others to see. The crowd couldn't see it. They could only see demonic energy surging into the sky and earth-shattering sounds. Obviously, Mad God was crazily attacking. On the other side, what shocked them even more was the 2 princes. One of them was flying in the sky, while the other was walking on the ground. They both charged toward the golden coffin. This time, the golden lion formation spirit didn't activate the peerless formation and allowed the 2 princes to charge over. Was he going to give up? Or was he absolutely confident in the golden coffin? The golden coffin had been there for tens of thousands of years, but there was no dust on it. Instead, it flickered with a mysterious light. Sensing the bloodline aura of the 2 princes, a terrifying fluctuation erupted, as if something inside was about to be resurrected. The surrounding people felt their bodies splitting apart. Not good, retreat quickly. They were terrified and didn't dare to stay here anymore. A few of them still wanted to hold on, but their bodies shattered and turned into a bloody mist. The souls roared and fled in fear, bringing with them a bloody mist that filled the sky. Everyone had retreated. Other than the 2 princes, only the golden lion array spirit and Lin Xian, who was still crazily attacking the statue, were left. Lin Xian also sensed the earth-shattering sounds of battle ahead, as well as a terrifying aura. However, he ignored it. He unleashed all sorts of methods to contend against it. His powerful physique, terrifying God's Eye, and Dragon Soul Sword Chi were all unleashed. After a fierce battle, he finally succeeded in suppressing and breaking through the 9th statue. The next moment, he felt a wave of information coming from the statue and flowing into his glabella. Lin Xian's body shook as an extremely sharp light appeared in his eyes. He had obtained the complete mark of the fearless lion. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He left behind an avatar and sat down cross-legged. As for his main body, it had entered the sword world. Lin Xian wanted to quickly comprehend it. He knew that there was a huge threat waiting for him, and that was the Dragon Prince. The other party had already set his eyes on him and would definitely fight him. Although he was not afraid, he still learned the mark of the fearless lion. His chances of winning were higher. After entering, Lin Xian sat cross-legged in the Four-Spirit Valley. He felt a powerful and mysterious aura and began to cultivate the mark of the fearless lion. He entered a state of selflessness. Outside, Xiao Zhuang, Peng Wanli, Zhu Long, and the others had gathered. The others also retreated. They were at the back. There was nothing they could do. The scene ahead was too terrifying. What happened? Those who had not gone before were puzzled. Those who came later told them what had happened before. Everyone was shocked. The two princes were just incarnations, but they were already so terrifying. Moreover, there was a mysterious golden coffin in front of them. There was also the legendary peerless mark of the fearless lion. One piece of news after another shocked them. Their eyes were red with envy. But soon they sighed. So many top experts had failed the test, leaving only Mad God inside. And did he succeed? They did not know either. Some people from the Dragon Palace sighed. Why didn't the Dragon Prince fight for the mark of the fearless lion? If the Dragon Prince wanted to fight for it, that Mad God had no chance at all. The people from the 10,000 Dragons dynasty shook their heads. They had underestimated the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince cultivated the Dragon Emperor Sutra. There were many peerless divine abilities inside, and they were all the arch-divine abilities. No matter how strong the mark of the fearless lion was, could it be the arch-divine ability? As soon as these words came out, everyone understood. So that was the case. It seemed that the two disciples had come for the golden coffin. No one knew what was inside the golden coffin. They began to wait patiently. However, 3 months passed. No one had returned yet. Everyone was shocked. Had they died? However, that terrifying aura was still sweeping out. No one dared to go forward. They continued to wait. Half a year had passed. Many people were in despair. Some of them even prepared to leave and go to other places. There were also people looking around to see if there were other weapon fragments that could be used to comprehend the Great Tao. However, the outside world was also terrifying. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals were all puppets formed by the powerhouses of the heavenly court. It was abnormally terrifying. They had never stopped attacking. Therefore, some people returned to the Tao Palace and began to cultivate here. In the blink of an eye, another year had passed. Everyone was in despair. If it wasn't for the terrifying aura in front, they would have thought that the incarnations of the two princes had died. However, someone said, "It's been more than a year, but Mad God still hasn't come out. I think he must have died." That was for sure. The two princes had attacked the peerless powerhouses of the heavenly court. It was understandable that it had taken a long time. Mad God had probably already been defeated and killed by the crown prince. Was he dead? Qin Hong, Zi Hong, Yan Ling, and the others frowned. Zhu Long, Zi Long, and the others sneered. It was good that he was dead. They could take revenge if he was dead. When the second year passed, everyone thought that Mad God wouldn't return alive. After all, if he had obtained the mark of the fearless lion, he would have returned long ago. Mad God couldn't have withstood the terrifying aura in front. If he didn't return, it meant that he had died. After 2.5 years, the terrifying aura in front finally disappeared. Then 2 figures flew back. The light on their bodies had dimmed. After 2.5 years of fighting, the 2 incarnations still hadn't opened the golden coffin. Instead, they were injured. Chapter 49-25. Look, the 2 princes have returned. Countless people exclaimed. They saw 2 godlike figures flying back. How is the prince? The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court and the Sky Sect walked over and asked nervously. The two princes frowned. It seemed that just using their incarnations was not enough. If their original bodies were here, they could open it and take a look. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. The person buried in front was actually so terrifying? However, some people knew that the fearless Lion King was an existence that dared to challenge the great emperor. Even if such a person had fallen countless tens of thousands of years ago, he would still have enough trump cards to deal with all changes. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court said, "Dragon Emperor, let's leave and help Dragon Illumination Master and the others outside." The battle outside was still erupting. Those heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals seemed to be indestructible, giving people a headache. However, Long Huangzi stood there with his hands behind his back. The corners of his mouth curled up. "No, I'm waiting for that mad god. I want to see where he gets the qualifications to challenge me. I'm waiting for mad god." The surrounding people were stunned. Zilong said, "Could it be that he's not dead yet?" "Impossible." Zhu Long also shook his head. "He must have already fallen inside." The Dragon Prince snorted coldly. "He hasn't fallen yet. I see that the demonic energy is monstrous." He's sitting cross-legged in front of the 9th statue. It seems like he wants to comprehend the fearless lion seal. What? Did that guy really get it? The surrounding people were shocked. Some people's eyes instantly turned red as they gritted their teeth. Damn it. Zilong, Zhulong, and the others were also jealous. However, the Dragon Prince sneered. "It doesn't matter. Wait for me to kill him with a palm strike and collect his soul. The fearless lion seal can be given to you guys to cultivate." "Really? Great, thank you, Prince." They were unconsciously happy. Qing Hong, Zi Hong, Xiao Zhuang, and the others frowned. It seemed that Mad God was very dangerous. With the Dragon Prince's words, no one was in a hurry to leave because they all wanted to see what would happen next. After another half a year, which was also the 3rd year, Lin Xian finally stopped in the sword world. The corner of his mouth raised into a smile. He formed a seal with his palm and pushed it forward. A golden light bloomed, turning into a fearless lion that charged forward. How terrifying! When the 4 spiritual beasts felt this aura, they were also astonished. What kind of ultimate technique was this? It was so powerful. It was even more powerful than the Man-Ruler seal and the Mountain-Embracing seal. Lin Xian was overjoyed. Great, as expected of an ultimate technique comparable to a Thearka's divine ability. However, although this supreme art was powerful, it was also difficult to cultivate. He had comprehended it for 3 years, including the great dragon sword spirit and the derivation of all things before he could grasp it. However, he did not continue cultivating, because he didn't know what the situation outside was like. From the looks of it, if he had the chance in the future, he would continue to cultivate and increase the strength of the seal of the fearless lion through actual combat. Now he had to leave quickly. Although there is the threat of the Dragon Prince outside, Lin Xian is confident that it was just the power of 9 Yang Divine Body and Fearless Lion Seal. Next, he fused the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul into the seal of the Fearless Lion. The Fearless Lion raised its head and roared, as if it had come alive. The power of its attack was several times stronger than before. Even the 4 spirit beasts were shocked. They were startled. Damn, I thought that the Golden Lion King had revived. The effect was not bad. Lin Xian nodded his head in satisfaction. He had only cultivated for 3 years. In the future, the seal of the Fearless Lion would become stronger and stronger. With a sway of his body, he walked out of the sword world. With a wave of his hand, his clone disappeared, and the demonic energy that filled the sky also dissipated. Lin Xian looked ahead and frowned slightly. The terrifying aura was still there. However, the 2 princes had already disappeared. He didn't know if they succeeded or not. He too walked towards the golden coffin in front of him. When he got close, he felt a huge pressure. This power was much more terrifying than the 9 statues from before. Seeing someone walking forward, the golden lion array spirit appeared again. Lin Xian stopped and asked, "Senior, may I know how the battle went? Those 2 princes didn't succeed, right?" The golden lion array spirit shook its head. The 2 incarnations did not have that much energy. They did not succeed and had already left half a year ago. However, I can feel that they did not leave the Dao Palace. They seem to be waiting for you. As expected. Lin Xian snorted coldly. It seemed that the Dragon Prince did not plan to let him go. However, he would let the other party experience the fearless lion seal that he had just cultivated. What do you plan to do? Now? Let me give you a suggestion. You can continue to cultivate here. 10 years later, your fearless lion seal should be completed, and they should be able to leave. It was not a wise choice to fight with the princes now. Thank you for your kind intentions, Senior. 10 years is too long, I can't afford to wait. Senior also said that he was just an incarnation and didn't have that much energy. Indeed, if the other party's main body came, Lin Xian would probably have to cultivate for 10 years. However, Lin Xian felt that an incarnation was enough. Furthermore, his trump card was not something that the Dragon Prince could imagine. All right. The Golden Lion Array Spirit nodded. He said, "Can you let me see the results of your cultivation?" He also did not believe that a person could cultivate such an absolute art in 3 years. Kid let him take a look. A laugh rang out. Lin Xian was surprised. He suddenly raised his head and saw another figure walking over from the front. He was wearing a black robe like an old demon. Lin Xian smiled. "Black Mountain, why are you here?" That's right, it was Black Mountain. He walked over with a sky lantern in his hand. "I'm a member of the Heavenly Court. Why can't I come here?" Then he looked at the Golden Lion and said, "Look at what I said. This kid will definitely go out immediately. You lost the bet." The Golden Lion snorted coldly. "You already know him. This doesn't count." Lin Xian rolled his eyes. These two guys were actually using his matter to pass time? "Young man, let me see the fearless lion seal that you cultivated." The array spirit spoke again. Lin Xian nodded. The demonic chi on his body had also disappeared. With Black Mountain here, he did not need to hide. The 9-yang divine body released a powerful force. Then Lin Xian sent out a palm. A golden lion swept in all directions and ran forward. That power was shocking. He really cultivated it. The array spirit also exclaimed. "How did you do it in 3 years? It was too shocking. This was not an ordinary martial art." Black Mountain said, "You underestimate him too much. Not only does he have the 9-yang divine body, he is also the successor of the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul's attack was unparalleled. It was not enough that he could quickly master an absolute art. Moreover, he did not use the full power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul in the attack just now." Chapter 49-26. So that was the case. The Golden Lion was shocked. "It seems like your trump card isn't much weaker than the Dragon Prince's incarnation." This time, Lin Xian's life shouldn't be in danger, but he still said, "But this incarnation, his true body was 10 times stronger. Not only did he have the Emperor's scripture, but he could also use extreme weapons." "I understand. Thank you, Senior, for your reminder. But I still have trump cards." Lin Xian smiled. "No matter what, I should be a member of the Heavenly Court, right?" "Of course." Black Mountain said, "You are from the Heavenly Court. Kid, go out later. Work with me. I need their strength to help me open up the Heavenly Court foundations that have been sealed for a long time." "What was it?" Lin Xian was shocked. "Was it related to the golden coffin?" Black Mountain shook his head. "No, it is a bunch of ancient people who have been sleeping. You can think of them as the master of the desolate wilderness, Feng Shaoqing, etc." When he heard that, Lin Xian was shocked too. Reviving people from tens of thousands of years ago was something the Purple Palace did. The Heavenly Court actually had it too. But he quickly understood. The Purple Palace and Heavenly Court were enemies, and their trump cards weren't much different. Otherwise, one side would have been wiped out long ago. Since the Purple Palace had ancient experts, the Heavenly Court definitely had some too. However, it seemed like it wouldn't be easy to revive them. Black Mountain said, "I need really strong power to activate the formation for me to wake them up." "I understood." Lin Xian and Black Mountain talked for a long time. After Lin Xian grasped the entire plan, he left. He knew what to do next. "Okay, then I will go." His body shook and Lin Xian flew out. I followed too. The Golden Lion King ran over. Lin Xian didn't stop him. After all, who knew whether or not the Dragon Prince would use the entire 10,000 Dragon Dynasty to attack him? Moreover, there was Kunpeng Zi at the side. The people outside were getting impatient. 3 years had passed and that fellow still hadn't come out. Was he going to keep on comprehending? If he didn't come out for 10 years, 100 years, they were going to wait here. The Dragon Prince's face was also cold. He said that if he didn't come out in a month, they would leave. Go outside to assist Draconic Lord and the rest. Good. The 10,000 Dragons Dynasty's people nodded, and everyone else deeply breathed in. There was still 1 month left. However, after only 6 days, they raised their heads. 2 forces were flying towards him at high speed. Who were they? Was it Mad God? Then who was the other one? Here it comes. The Dragon Prince's eyes shone with a terrifying light. Not only was he powerful, but his soul was also powerful. He was far stronger than the people around him. Therefore, before anyone could react, he saw Mad God, who was surrounded by a monstrous demonic shadow. The other was the Array Spirit. Did the two of them come together? Was she afraid that he would go back on his word? He snorted disdainfully. The others soon discovered that 2 figures had appeared in front of them. It was none other than Mad God. They cried out in surprise. This was too inconceivable. He had already obtained the lion's seal? One after another voice rang out. You actually dared to come out. I have to say that your courage is commendable. I thought you would hide in there for 100 years. Dragon Prince's clone sneered. 100 years? 3 years is enough. Lin Xian walked out and said, Come, I want to see how you're going to suppress me. The Golden Lion Array Spirit walked out and said, As the Emperor's son, you have to keep your word. You won't go back on your word now, right? So it's because of this. Dragon Prince sneered, Humph, why? He cultivated the lion's seal, and you, the Array Spirit, are helping him? But it didn't matter. 1 move was enough to kill him. He didn't want to use a second move. Kid, are you ready? Take out your strongest technique, or you won't have another chance in the future. Dragon Prince's clone walked out, emitting a monstrous aura. The surrounding people retreated. The 10,000 Dragons Dynasty's people sneered. Going against the Emperor's son was a dead end. The others were worried. My husband should be fine, right? Xueqi was nervous. Yi Wudao also rushed over. He knew that Mad God was Lin Xian, so he clenched his fists nervously. Fight with the Emperor's son? To be honest, she was looking forward to it. Gu Feng, Peng Wanli, and the others were all watching intently. At the front, Lin Xian walked out without a trace of nervousness. He said, I've never fought with the Emperor's son before. Today, let me see how powerful the legendary Emperor's son is. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm. Endless golden light condensed in his palm. It turned into the phantom of a lion and was pushed out by him. A roar shook heaven and earth, carrying with it an indomitable and fearless aura. This is? The surrounding people were shocked and cried out in surprise. Fearless lion. This is the lion's seal. Heavens, in 3 years' time, did he learn such an ultimate technique? Damn it, what kind of talent is this? Zhu Long, Zi Long, and the others went crazy. It was as if they were dreaming. Xueqi heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Wudao, Gu Feng, and the others were also shocked. Even they wouldn't be able to master this technique in 3 years. Even Kunpeng Zi was surprised. What high talent! The surrounding people were in an uproar again. What kind of honor was it to be recognized by the Emperor's son? With some strength, there weren't many people with high talent under the Emperor's son. The Dragon Prince nodded slightly. Unfortunately, you met me. I won't give you a chance. Dragon Cloud Hand. His entire arm seemed to have turned into a true dragon, with clouds and mist lingering around his arm. When he struck out with his palm, it was as if a true dragon had poked its head out of the clouds and roared at the sky. It fought with the golden fearless lion. In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked. A violent storm swept out in all directions. Not good, retreat. The surrounding people quickly retreated, leaving only one figure standing in the same place. It was Kunpeng Zi. The black and white chi on Kunpingzi's body formed a set of armor, blocking all the power. It's still not enough. He looked at the scene in front of him and said indifferently. The dragon cloud hand turned into a true dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, directly pressing down on the golden fearless lion. He pressed the fearless lion to the ground, making it unable to resist. Seeing this, the people in the distance cried out in surprise. The difference was too great. However, the fact that the madman could fight the emperor's son to this extent was enough to be proud. Zilong sneered. What's the point? From now on, he'll cease to exist. Is this really the emperor's son? How could a clone use such a terrifying technique? Gu Feng and Yi Wudao's eyes shone brightly. They were analyzing how they would deal with this attack if it were them. There was another person, the light-shaking realm. Chapter 49-27. Did you see that? Kid, this is the difference between us. The cloud dragon hand pressed down on the fearless lion. The dragon prince laughed coldly. He used a little force and the other party was about to collapse. Sigh, who could understand the feeling of being invincible? Alright kid, it's over. The dragon prince's eyes were filled with killing intent. The other party was indeed very strong and was a threat. If he was allowed to grow, he would be a problem in the future. If he didn't appear in the future, the Dragon Palace and the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would suffer heavy losses. Hence, he couldn't allow such a person to live. The Golden Lion's light became dimmer and dimmer. The Cloud Dragon hand not only wanted to kill the fearless lion, but it also wanted to kill Lin Xian. The true dragon raised its head and roared. It stared at Lin Xian and was about to charge over. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Do you think I only have this much strength? It was just a warm-up. Now, I'll let you see the true fearless lion. Lin Xian didn't take out his true trump card. Now, he was going to activate the power of the great dragon sword soul. Stupid thing, don't you see the truth? The difference between us isn't something you can cross. The dragon prince was angry. He waved his hand and the golden lion illusion in front of him shattered. The cloud dragon hand charged over and shattered the void. In an instant, it arrived in front of Lin Xian and enveloped him. The giant dragon roared, wanting to tear Lin Xian into pieces. Not good. Xueqi was nervous. Zilong and the others laughed coldly. Everything was over. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. He instantly formed a seal and the power of the great dragon sword soul surged into the fearless lion seal. Instantly, a world-shaking roar sounded. This roar was several times stronger than before. A lion flew out from his fingertips and pounced at the true dragon. Boom! This attack was really too terrifying. Everyone was stunned. They seemed to have seen a fearless lion that crossed the ancient time and space. Was the true god beast revived? Why was it so lifelike? The golden lion array spirit beside him also trembled and stood up abruptly. He was in disbelief. Why do I feel the aura of a soul? How did he do it? His face was full of surprise. To be able to use the fearless lion to such an extent in just 3 years, it was too inconceivable. On the other side, Kunpengzi's eyes were also emitting black and white light. What was with this aura? His strength was more than 10 times stronger than before. Was this the kid's trump card? The seal of the lion pounced over and fought with the true dragon, suppressing it. The dragon prince was stunned as well. But soon he came back to his senses. His face darkened. Had he underestimated his opponent? Boom! In the end, the true dragon was torn in half. The fearless lion roared towards the sky and charged towards the dragon prince. The dragon prince's face was cold. Get lost. With a roar, 10,000 dragons gathered behind him, forming a dragon diagram that directly suppressed the fearless lion. With a boom, it dissipated between heaven and earth. The dragon prince took a step forward and was about to launch another attack. The golden lion snorted. Stop! One move has already passed. As the emperor's son, are you going to go back on your word? The dragon prince's hand stopped in midair. The terrifying aura of the Tao of Dragons was retracted. His expression flickered, then he sneered. What a fearless lion seal! I didn't expect you to have a trump card that is beyond my imagination. All right, as the Emperor's son, I have to do what I say. So, one move it is. You're very lucky today. I won't attack again and you can live for a while longer. But the next time I meet you, you won't be so lucky. The Dragon Prince retracted his palm and shouted coldly. Lucky? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The other party was really stubborn. He said that the next time they met, his strength would be 10 times stronger than now. At that time, it was not certain who would lose. The surrounding people were stunned. What did this guy do? He actually blocked the Dragon Prince's attack. One had to know that although the Dragon Cloud Dragon Palm was just one attack from the incarnation, it wasn't something that they could block. But Mad God actually blocked it. Could it be that Mad God was already above them? Could he compete with the Emperor's son? Thinking of this possibility, their scalps went numb. Xueqi smiled. As expected of her husband, he had so many trump cards. Yi Wudao and Gu Feng looked solemn. Although they had only exchanged one move, they could already feel how powerful the Emperor's son was. This was just one incarnation. Would they have to compete with such a person in the future? Just thinking about it made them despair. Damn it, how is this possible? Zi Long ran frantically. The Dragon Prince was a god in his eyes, but he couldn't kill him with one move. Zhu Long also said that the Dragon Prince had been careless. Otherwise, how could he not have killed him? Yes, no matter how strong Mad God was, how could he be a match for the Dragon Prince? As soon as the Dragon Prince's true body appeared, he could kill him with one look. The people on the dragon's side roared crazily, trying to regain their confidence. The Dragon Prince said indifferently, "All right, let's go." Although the other party could block his move, that was it. The other party was not a match for him. With the Dragon Prince's order, the people of the Thousand Dragon Court followed. The people of the Dragon Palace also took a deep breath and hurried to follow. They had other things to do, and that was to help the Dragon Sovereign and the others. Let's go. Kunpengzi also left with the people of the Heaven Sect. But before he left, he took a deep look at Lin Xian. Mad God. If he didn't fall and continued to grow at this speed, he might become an opponent in the future Emperor's path. That included the fact that the other party could never win and was just a stepping stone. The others felt their scalps go numb. They couldn't imagine that Mad God was the strongest person under the Emperor's sun. This was equivalent to a mountain pressing down on them, making it difficult for them to make a comeback. In the future, he would be their strongest opponent. That's great. You're not hurt, right? Xueqi flew over and asked with concern. Lin Xian shook his head. Qing Hong, Zi Hong, and the others also flew over. They exclaimed, "You did it! You really did it! How did you do it?" They found it hard to believe. "I did it because the Dragon Prince wasn't invincible, but he wasn't invincible." Lin Xian made it sound simple, but these people knew that other than Lin Xian, no one else could do it. Seeing that these people were still in shock, Lin Xian smiled. "Let's go. We'll go help the divine generals." "All right." These people nodded, and the group walked into the distance. The Golden Lion Array spirit looked at Lin Xian's departing figure and revealed a smile. The fearless lion could be carried forward. He turned around and continued to guard the Golden Dao Palace. "You all left? Then I'll start preparing." In front of the golden coffin, Black Mountain's figure turned into a wisp of smoke and disappeared. Chapter 49-28. The battle outside was still raging. It had been 3 years, and those experts were not tired at all. They were much stronger than Lin Xian and the others. However, such unparalleled experts and super mighty figures were in the minority after all. However, there were many young geniuses like Zi Long. Therefore, when these people joined forces and used various trump cards, they were able to fight back. In addition to the clones of Prince Long and Kunpengzi, the two of them each carried an extreme power. That was the power of an extreme weapon. At this moment, it was truly terrifying. In an instant, many heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals were pushed back. Their bodies swayed, and the nomological laws on them dimmed. "It's great that you're back." Those experts were also happy to see their disciples return. They heaved a sigh of relief. The divine generals all asked, "How was it?" Qing Hong, Xiao Zhuang, and the others told them, and the four great divine generals gasped. Inside was the legendary Tao Palace of the Fearless Lion King, and it even had the cultivation method of the Fearless Lion Seal. It was really incredible. However, what was surprising was that it seemed that only Lin Xian was cultivating it. Divine General Hai Yuan and Yun Pengzi smiled. Great, Lin Xian was on their side. Lin Xian's strength made them feel gratified. Divine General Chen Chen's face darkened as he said coldly, "Kid, if we didn't hold them back, how could you have entered? Teach me the cultivation method of the Fearless Lion Seal." Lin Xian glanced at him and smiled. "You want to learn? You want to go to the Tao Palace?" Divine General Chen Chen was so angry that he vomited blood. "Are you going to be ungrateful?" Lin Xian said, "Don't judge me with your despicable heart." He ignored him and looked at Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Yungu. With a wave of his hand, he took out 6 weapon fragments. These were all given to him by the Array Spirit. He said, "Seniors, I can't teach you the Fearless Lion Seal, but I'm naturally grateful to you for bringing me here." These 6 weapon fragments contain the Heavenly Court's Great Tao. If you can comprehend it and engrave it on your weapon, it can make your sacred weapon even more terrifying. The eyes of Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Hai Yuan lit up when they saw the 6 weapon fragments. The Tao of the ancient Heavenly Court was extremely profound. If they could comprehend even a little bit, it would be a great improvement. Moreover, there were 6 of them here. If they split it between 2 people, each person could get 3. That's pretty good. Therefore, they put it away and said with a smile, "Then we'll accept it." Lin Xian only gave them to Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Yun. As for the other 2, he didn't give them to them. He was not brought in by the 2 immortal generals. The Divine General Wind Snow gritted his teeth in anger, but he didn't say anything. Indeed, everyone belonged to different factions. If he wanted something, he would have to get it from Xiao Zhuang and the others. Little Zhuang and the others also took out a piece each, making the Divine General of Wind Snow smile. Divine General Qian Chen also received one, but he received the least. Only the Flying Corpse King gave it to him. Torch Dragon had long followed the Dragon Prince. This made him depressed, but he didn't dare to say anything. Humph, with the Dragon Prince here, let's see if Mad God dares to be arrogant. He snorted and also flew toward the Dragon Prince. He didn't know that Lin Xian had already blocked the Dragon Cloud hand. If he knew, what kind of expression would he have? In front, the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals didn't attack again. The armored giant also stood there like a mountain. They watched covetously. On the other side, Kunping Zi and the Dragon Prince were also in a confrontation. The auras of the 2 sides were constantly clashing. Another battle could break out at any time. Lin Xian was also in the crowd, his eyes flashing. He naturally knew that Black Mountain's plan had already begun. As expected, the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals had begun to retreat under Black Mountain's control. The Dragon Prince snorted and led a group of people to attack. On the other side, Kunping Zi also rose into the air. The 2 of them pursued. They must search the heavenly court and find the supreme treasure. Both of them were imperial princes, so they had more information than the others. They naturally knew that the ancient heavenly court was an extremely powerful existence. There had been more than one great emperor here. There must be a great emperor's ancient scripture left behind. If they could obtain it, they would definitely become a true great emperor and break through the limits and shackles of their bloodlines. This was also one of the reasons why they came this time. Why didn't they send their true bodies? They naturally had their own considerations. Since there might be a great emperor's ancient scripture here, there might be a great emperor's killing formation. No matter how strong they were still too young. It was very dangerous to encounter a complete great emperor's killing formation. Even if they carried an extreme weapon, they might be injured and escape. Therefore, in order to maintain their peak condition, they sent out their incarnations. Their incarnations were here to scout. As long as they found news about the great emperor's ancient scripture, they would use the power of the emperor clans. They would attack the heavenly court at all costs. The 10,000 dragons court and the heavenly sex aura surged. With the two imperial princes leading them, they chased after them. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals didn't dare to resist at all. One after another, congratulatory voices sounded. As expected of the dragon prince. Just show your divine might, and those heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals were defeated. If you attacked, nothing could stop you. The dragon prince laughed and sped up. The group charged into the depths of the heavenly court. However, they discovered that other than the southern heavenly gate and the first Tao palace, the 33rd heaven in the distance was indeed an illusion. No matter how they set off, the illusion would always appear in front of them. Another Tao palace appeared in front of them. It was golden and dazzling. The heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals, and the armored giants all entered. Seeing this scene, the dragon prince and the others roared angrily and rushed in. It was another Tao palace. Perhaps there was also a golden coffin inside. Even Lin Xian and the others were surprised. This time, the heavenly generals, peerless experts, and super mighty figures were all very careful. However, they discovered that there was an extremely strong seal on it this time. They couldn't open it at all. It seemed that they had to work together to break it. However, some people were puzzled. Why did this Tao palace feel different from the first one? At this moment, Lin Xian received a voice transmission from Black Mountain. While everyone was discussing, Lin Xian walked out. There were 12 Tao palaces, and each one was different. Was there a need to explain? If they were all the same, why were there 12? This one's aura was obviously more terrifying. If you're afraid of death, get lost. I want to go in. If I can learn another peerless theurgy, so what if you're an imperial prince? I still dare to fight. Now, everyone knew that the mad god had obtained the fearless lion seal, which was a peerless technique comparable to an imperial theurgy. In addition, the other party's arrogant words made the others' eyes turn red. Yes, that's right. There was no doubt that the first peerless technique inside was even more terrifying. We must get it. Chapter 49-29. Lin Xian sneered. This was the effect he wanted. If these people suspected him, they would investigate more strictly. This was dangerous because there was a huge illusion formation in front of them. There were no treasures inside. Inside was a place where a portion of the heavenly court's foundation was sleeping. Black Mountain needed these people to open the seal before it could let those people in. These people had been awake and investigating, so they should be able to find a flaw. At that time, they should not make a move. That was why they needed Lin Xian to stand out and be arrogant. The surrounding people were already about to make a move, but the two princes frowned. The two of them had many trump cards. The two of them felt a trace of doubt and felt that something was wrong, so they suppressed the crowd. They did not let the crowd attack immediately. Lin Xian cursed inwardly. As expected of the imperial prince. He had grasped the imperial sutra. It was really easy to fool him. It seemed that he could only continue to be arrogant. He stood out and shouted coldly. But don't you dare to make a move? A bunch of trash. I can already block the imperial prince's attack after obtaining the fearless lion seal. If I obtain another peerless technique, I can suppress the imperial prince. If you don't dare, I'll do it. As soon as he said that, the surrounding people went crazy. Not everyone knew about this. After all, it was embarrassing that the dragon prince couldn't kill the other party in one move. The Thousand Dragon dynasty naturally wouldn't say it. The others didn't dare to say it even if they wanted to. If they said such a thing in front of Long Huang, Zi and offended the dragon prince, they would be slapped to death. It might even implicate their entire family and sect. Therefore, those people kept their mouths shut. Now that the peerless powerhouses outside heard this, their eyes almost popped out. Was that really the case? They asked one after another. The surrounding young disciples had strange expressions on their faces, but no one dared to say anything. However, no one explained. Those super mighty figures were smart and instantly understood. It seemed that it was true. The Dragon Prince and Mad God had already fought inside, but he couldn't kill Mad God. And all of this was not because Mad God was strong, but because the fearless lion seal was strong. These people's eyes were red. Let's do it. Even the dragon reflection master's eyes were burning. Although he was an expert of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty, he didn't have the right to cultivate an imperial scripture. If he could obtain the peerless divine ability of the imperial Kama Sutra, his strength and status would rise even further. Not only him, but the eyes of the master of the Great Desolation, the 9 underworlds demon emperor, and the other super mighty figures were also red. This time, the 2 princes also frowned. It seemed that they could not suppress these older generation experts. Especially when the dragon prince turned his head, his eyes bursting with terrifying murderous intent. He turned into 2 bolts of lightning and attacked Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian once again used the seal of the fearless line. The power of the great dragon sword spirit gushed out, as if it had transformed into a real fearless lion. He blocked the dragon prince's sight. This time, everyone saw it with their own eyes. They were all crazy. The Lord of the Great Desolation roared. Everyone acted aggressively because the mad god could really block the attacks of the crown prince. They had to break the seal no matter what. The dragon prince frowned, his killing intent biting cold. He wanted to kill Lin Xian, but found that the other party had escaped. An ant is an ant. The dragon prince turned around and continued to attack the Dao Palace in front of him. Lin Xian was not escaping, because he felt that the time was right. He would not attack the Dao Palace in front of him. He had to be vigilant at all times and contact Black Mountain. "Kid, you're doing well." At this moment, Black Mountain walked over and smiled. Lin Xian was shocked. "You dare to come out?" Black Mountain said, "What's the big deal? There are so many people here. They can't see through me if I pretend to be one." The 2 of them communicated telepathically. Black Mountain was very satisfied with Lin Xian's performance. The people in front of him were attacking with all their might, but their powers were all absorbed by the formation. Black Mountain smiled. He said, "I have to move forward. When the formation is opened, I have to wake up the sleeping people immediately." Lin Xian said, "What else do you need me to do?" Black Mountain said that there was no need. This was enough. Lin Xian said telepathically, "Why do I feel that the 2 princes are searching for something? Also, how many mystic arts do the Heavenly Court have? Do they have the Great Emperor's ancient scripture? If you have an ancient scripture, give me a copy." To be honest, it was impossible not to envy the Great Emperor's ancient scripture. After all, it was a mystic art created by the Great Emperor. It was the most powerful mystic art in the world. Lin Xian did not have one. Whether it was the Human King seal, the Mountain Embracing seal, the 9 Yang Divine Body, or the Fearless Lion seal, they were all top-notch mystic arts. However, the Great Emperor's ancient scripture was still a little lacking. Therefore, Lin Xian also hoped to obtain a copy of the Great Emperor's ancient scripture. However, these ancient scriptures were usually in the hands of the Emperor race. Even in the Emperor race, only a few people could cultivate it. It was even possible that only one person could cultivate it. Others wanted to obtain it? It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Not to mention people from other races. Other than the Emperor race, Lin Xian had seen someone who knew the Great Emperor's ancient scripture. That was Yan Nantian. Back then, Yan Nantian and he were locked in a fierce battle. He had used all his trump cards and spent a lot of effort to kill him. One had to know that back then, he had used the 9 Yang Divine Body, the Great Dragon Sword Soul, and many other mystic arts to kill a great emperor's successor. That was because the other party had not grown up and could not use many of the great emperor's mystic arts. If the other party had grown up to this point, it would have been 100 times more difficult for Lin Xian to kill a great emperor's successor. Black Mountain said, "The Heavenly Court does have an emperor's scripture. However, that kind of thing is too rare. It requires a great opportunity. I don't even have it. Don't worry, if I really find it, I will consider giving it to you." After saying that, Black Mountain turned into green smoke and floated forward. Lin Xian sighed. However, he quickly adjusted his mentality. So what if he didn't have an emperor's scripture? He had the Great Dragon Sword Soul. He was also powerful. The people in front of him attacked crazily. 3 months later, cracks began to appear on the surface of the formation. Great, These people had swallowed countless pills and absorbed a lot of energy in the past 3 months to be able to fight so desperately. At this moment, seeing cracks appear on the seal, they were so excited that they were about to cry. This time, even the Dragon Prince and the Kunpeng made a move. They attacked with their extreme strength. After another 3 days of attack, the formation was finally covered with cracks. Then, with a crack, it shattered. Great, the seal has been broken. Charge. These people rushed in. Lin Xian also followed in from afar. He had been standing at the edge, ready to respond at any time. This is? After entering, the people inside were stunned. Even Lin Xian was stunned. He found that there were hundreds of figures in front of him. Those people who were frozen in the divine crystal land had fallen into a deep sleep. Chapter 49:30. What was that? The people around were stunned. Purple Mansion's pupils constricted. Dragon Prince and Kunpeng's expressions changed. Don't act rashly and don't touch those god crystals. Dragon Prince snorted coldly. Kunpeng also said that they were still alive and sleeping. This was the foundation of the heavenly court. Hearing the two princes' words, the people around were in an uproar. The foundation of the heavenly court was actually here. These people must have grasped countless absolute techniques. If he could collect their souls, he would be able to do it. If they could collect those techniques and secrets, they would be theirs. Everyone's eyes turned red as they looked at the sleeping people in the god crystals. However, no one dared to act rashly. The Grand Prince had already spoken. Moreover, they knew that if they were careless, they might wake those people up. It would be troublesome then. The Purple Mansion's elder walked out and said, "Two princes, we can't let these people from the heavenly court live. We have to kill them quickly. Even if you two princes have any ideas, please hand them over to the Purple Mansion after you act." Many people gasped when they heard this. It seemed like Zifu wanted to completely destroy the heavenly court's foundation. The moment he said that, the eyelids of the Purple Mansion's people twitched. Even the two princes' expressions changed. They saw a figure in the crowd walking forward and stopping in front of the ceiling divine crystal. One of his palms had already reached out. "Stop!" The Purple Mansion's elder shouted angrily, "What do you want to do? Don't you know that once the god crystals are broken, they will wake up?" The person in front didn't reply at all. Instead, he slapped the god crystals. Countless cracks spread out in all directions. "Not good, he wants to wake those people up. He is from the heavenly court." The Purple Mansion roared. Dragon Prince's eyes shone with a terrifying light that swept forward. Those eyes turned into millions of dragon shadows that roared in the sky. "That's great." Dragon Prince attacked. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty heaved a sigh of relief. One look was enough to kill him. The person in front turned around. A lamp appeared in his hand and flames swept across the sky. It blocked all the dragon shadows. How was that possible? The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were shocked. The others were also in an uproar. The people from the Purple Mansion exclaimed, "Sky lamp, damn it, you are from the heavenly court." Was that a sky lamp? Kunpeng's eyes shone brightly as he stared at the other party. The Dragon Prince's face darkened. "You dare to scheme against us?" He was furious. He felt that this was a trap. Up ahead, He Shan smiled, thanking everyone for providing him with strength to break the seal. "The heavenly court is extremely grateful. Damn it, it really was a trap." The Dragon Prince roared. The people from the Purple Mansion were also filled with killing intent. They shouted angrily and rushed over. However, He Shan's movements were even faster. Wherever the lamp passed, it brought with it a monstrous power that melted the surrounding divine crystals like snow. Hundreds of figures appeared. All of them opened their eyes and roared at the sky. Some of them even punched out, fighting against the Lord of the Great Desolation. That figure was sent flying backwards. However, the face of the Great Desolation Master turned extremely ugly. Although he had forcefully suppressed the other party had just awakened. Once the other party's strength recovered, the other party would not be any weaker than him. Sure enough, that person was a middle-aged man. He raised his head and roared. The power of the world from all directions swept towards him like a tornado. His aura quickly recovered. He was not the only one. The 100 figures had also recovered. Not good. The faces of the people from the Purple Mansion changed drastically. They looked at the Dragon Prince and Kunpengzi. The two Imperial Princes, please use your extreme Dao power to suppress them. Kunpengzi said lightly. I will not participate in the grudge between the Purple Mansion and the Heavenly Court. He walked to the side. Those who followed him, such as Tianzong and Divine General Wind Snow, also retreated to the side. The faces of the people from the Purple Mansion were cold. They looked at the Dragon Prince. Dragon Prince, please help us. The Purple Mansion will reward you greatly. All right. The Dragon Prince nodded. They dared to scheme against me. I will not let them go. The Dragon Prince walked out, his extreme Dao aura constantly erupting. Although he did not bring an extreme Dao weapon, he brought an extreme Dao power with him. As soon as the aura was released, it suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Everyone felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Even the divine generals and super mighty figures turned pale. The power of an extreme Dao weapon was too terrifying. Retreat quickly. The surrounding people retreated. The people from the Purple Mansion sneered as they retreated. The experts from the Heavenly Court had just woken up. They would not be able to withstand the extreme Dao power. The Lord of the Great Desolation took out a legendary saint weapon. Its terrifying aura was also vast. It stared at Black Mountain. He said coldly, although you have a sky lantern, it can only block one weapon. Are you trying to block the power of extreme Dao, or are you trying to block my full power attack? You decide for yourself. Everyone's scalp went numb. The Lord of the Great Desolation was at the peak of the Great Sage. He had a legendary saint weapon in his hand. His attack was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. The Dragon Prince's extreme Dao power was also terrifying. The Sky Lantern could not withstand the joint attack of the two. Despicable. You ants dare to go against the Heavenly Court. The 100 figures opened their eyes and shouted coldly. The people from the Purple Mansion sneered. You destroyed the Heavenly Court back then. There is no need for you to live anymore. Despicable. The people from the Heavenly Court looked pale. They all looked forward. You are the person of this generation with the Sky Lantern. Summon the Peerless Killing Array. The 100 people said coldly. Black Mountain said. The commotion was too great. Some things protected by the Peerless Killing Array could not be revealed yet. However, the 100 people who woke up frowned. Although that was the case, the extreme Dao power was a legendary saint weapon. There were so many people on the other side. We have just woken up and can't fight against them. Black Mountain said, it's fine. Who said that we only have one Sky Lantern? The Heavenly Court powerhouses who had just woken up were stunned. The others were also puzzled. Were there still Heavenly Court powerhouses here? They were facing a great enemy. In an instant, many people held sacred weapons in their hands and looked around. Black Mountain said, Kid, it's up to you. Lin Xian sighed, but he still walked out. When they saw Mad God, everyone was stunned. Could this guy be from the Heavenly Court? The Purple Mansion's side was filled with killing intent. The Dragon Prince frowned. Kid, are you here to die? Although I promised you before that I wouldn't kill you if you dodged my attack. But that was just now. If you want to attack again, I have no restrictions. I will let you go to hell. Lin Xian laughed. Do you really think you are an emperor? You are just an emperor. Moreover, you are just an incarnation now. What right do you have to say such words? I advise you to get lost now. Otherwise, I will let your incarnation die later. I will let you become the laughingstock of the world. The surrounding people were stunned. Even Kunpengzi frowned. Where did he get the courage to say such words? Although they were just incarnations, they had extreme Dao power. The surrounding great sage were no match for them at all. Chapter 49-31. The Dragon Prince was thoroughly enraged. Ignorant fool, I will send you to hell and make you feel despair. He walked out, releasing his extreme Dao aura. Thousands of dragons circled around him and pressed forward. In an instant, the surrounding area collapsed. This kid is really an idiot. Does he think that this attack is the same as the Dragon Cloud Hand? What a joke. This attack was 10 times, no, 100 times stronger than the Dragon Cloud Hand. Zilong and the others snorted. Those from the heavenly court who had just woken up frowned. Does this person have the strength to fight against the Emperor's extreme Dao? Under everyone's questioning gaze, Lin Xian walked out. A black jar floated out of his body and floated between heaven and earth. A terrifying aura filled the air. In the surroundings, countless black holes blocked the aura of the 10,000 dragons. What is this? Everyone was shocked. Those from the heavenly court who had just woken up exclaimed, "The heaven-devouring jar. He has gained the recognition of the heaven-devouring jar? This guy has the heaven-devouring jar." The others were stunned when they heard this. Their eyes widened. Those from the clan of the Ancients' eyes turned red. The heaven-devouring jar was the legendary weapon of the heaven-devouring emperor. It was an extreme Dao weapon. This guy has an extreme Dao weapon. Kunpengzi narrowed his eyes. No wonder he dared to challenge the Dragon Prince. This was his trump card. The Dragon Prince's face turned cold. Soon he snorted. It's just half a heaven-devouring jar, half an extreme Dao weapon. Is this what you're relying on the most? Kitor. Initially, the Dragon Prince was disdained by Lin Xian. But now, it seemed like that was not the case. With half an extreme Dao weapon, it would be difficult for him to kill Lin Xian. Those from the Purple Mansion sect exclaimed, "How do you have it? What is your relationship with Lin Xian?" They were stunned. Wasn't the heaven-devouring jar obtained by Lin Xian? Now, it was in the hands of the mad god. Is this guy Lin Xian? Impossible. That kid can't be so heaven-defying. How long has it been? Lin Xian's strength is 10 times stronger than before. They didn't believe that anyone could improve their strength so quickly. Lin Xian looked at them and snorted coldly. "You guys talk too much. Who wants to fight me today?" He came to Black Mountain, and the two of them stood side by side. A heaven-swallowing jar and a sky lantern were enough to stop everything. Damn it. The people of the Z government were gnashing their teeth. They had lost their advantage, but they still had a chance. They still had one hope, and that was Kunpengzi. If Kunpengzi was willing to join them, then they would have one more extreme Dao power. At that time, they would be able to suppress the other party. The people from the Purple Mansion invited Kunpengzi once again. Black Mountain also said, "Kunpengzi, the Heavenly Court has no enmity with the Kunpeng race. I don't want to have any grudges in the future. I think Kunpengzi doesn't want to have another strong enemy in the future." Once the sky lanterns lit up, the Heavenly Court would revive. No one could stop it. The Purple Mansion made a great wish and was even willing to take out the celestial ruins for Kunpengzi to see. Kunpengzi frowned. To be honest, the conditions given by the Purple government were very good. He was shocked. The inheritance of the Purple Mansion was very mysterious. Although it wasn't from the Purple Mansion, even the monarch race couldn't figure it out. It was said that there was an even more terrifying force behind the Purple Mansion. It was even related to the legendary Celestials. If the Purple Mansion really took out the secret of celestial ascension, he wouldn't be able to resist. However, Black Mountain was right. He wasn't even a great emperor now. If he offended the Heavenly Court, then he would be suppressed by the Heavenly Court in the future. Although the Heavenly Court was broken, they still had a foundation. If they found a critical moment, such as when he was breaking through, they would bring an extreme Dao weapon to attack him. Then it would be really dangerous. After thinking about it, Kunpengzi said, "I won't participate in your battle. Goodbye." With that he turned around. He actually left. The people of the Heaven sect also took a deep breath and followed. In an instant, the forces on Kunpeng's side left. The people of the Purple Mansion had ugly expressions, but the people of the Heavenly Court laughed. Black Mountain said, "Why, do you still want to fight? Don't be arrogant. We don't know who will win yet. Fight." The elder of the Purple Mansion roared, and the Lord of the Great Desolation attacked. He held a sacred sword in his hand, which was a legendary sacred weapon. It was one of the most powerful sacred weapons. When the sword slashed down, The people around felt that their souls were being torn apart. Retreat! They all retreated. Black Mountain shouted, "Everyone, let's attack together." He held the sky lantern in his hand, and the hundreds of awakened experts behind him also poured their power into the sky lantern. The sky lantern shone in all directions, and the bright light blocked the sacred sword. The people of the Purple Mansion had ugly expressions. The Lord of the Great Desolation was the peak of the great sage. He could sweep the world with his legendary sacred weapon. The Black-Robe Man was no match for him at all. However, there were many experts on the other side, and more importantly, this was the territory of the Heavenly Court. They found that there were countless arrays at the foot of Black Mountain, providing powerful Heavenly Court Tao. They could only look at the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince walked out, and the extreme Tao aura on his body became more and more piercing. It seemed to have turned into a sky map that was about to envelop the sky lantern. However, it was blocked by countless black vortexes halfway. Lin Xian held the heaven-swallowing jar in his hand and also stood out. The 10,000 Dragons diagram? It's not the first time I've experienced it. I just don't know how powerful it is in your hands. Long Huangzi frowned. Had the other party experienced the 10,000 Dragons diagram before? How could he not know? One had to know that the 10,000 Dragons diagram had only been used a few times. After all, it was an extreme Tao weapon. Using it once consumed too much power. Even his current dragon diagram was only at the level of extreme Tao. Furthermore, it was also due to the fact that he had exhausted too much of his energy. Thus, even though he was only using extreme Tao's might, he was not afraid of his opponent. He knew that with the Mad God's cultivation, he could not use the heaven-swallowing jar at full power. The power that the other party used was about the same as his extreme Tao level. However, the other party's words made him frown. Could it be that this guy also came from the true spirit world? He knew that the 10,000 Dragons diagram was used the most in the true spirit world. When the 10,000 ancient races revived. When he came to the buried Emperor Star, he had not used the 10,000 Dragons diagram. However, now was not the time for him to think too much. He snorted coldly and activated the extreme Tao level in his body. He struck out with a blow. The sky fell and the earth cracked. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. Lin Xian also snorted coldly. He activated the heaven-swallowing jar with all his strength. Black Mountain, give me some power. He knew that this was the foundation of the Heavenly Court, and there was an extremely powerful formation here. Black Mountain formed a seal with his palms, and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals appeared again. The armored giant also walked over. Their palms faced the sky, and endless heavenly quartz Tao appeared on their bodies and surrounded the heaven-swallowing jar. The heaven-swallowing jar bloomed with light and directly swallowed the extreme Tao level power. Then, it charged towards the Dragon Prince. Not good. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty also hurriedly released their power. 10,000 dragons roared. The Dragon Prince also received the power boost. Chapter 49-32. The two extreme Tao weapons kept colliding, tearing apart the 9 heavens. Fortunately, this was the ruins of the Heavenly Court. Otherwise, the entire world would have been destroyed. It seemed like they were evenly matched. The people in the surroundings were shocked. They didn't attack rashly. Now, all their hopes were on the people in front of them. As long as the extreme Tao weapons won, the battle would probably end. And, I'm the Imperial Prince, and the 10,000 Dragons portrait was prepared for me. What do you have to fight me? The Dragon Prince shouted coldly. Your heaven-devouring jar isn't complete, and you can't unleash its full power. Right now, you're just holding on. It won't be long before your body shatters and is swallowed by the heaven-devouring jar. The Dragon Prince's voice was so cold that it caused the blood in everyone's body to surge. The expressions of Xue Qi and the others changed. Not good. His voice carried a powerful soul power, and it seemed like it wanted to affect Lin Xian's Tao heart. Could Lin Xian block it? They were nervous. Lin Xian sneered. Don't waste your energy. You keep saying that I'm an ant and that you're looking down on me. In the end, do you have the ability to suppress me? I've withstood your previous palm strike, and now, I've withstood your extreme Dao attack. I can't suppress you, but at least we're evenly matched. If I'm an ant, what are you? Aren't you just another ant? The Dragon Prince's expression was cold, and his incarnation released a terrifying aura. It seems like you still don't understand my strength. Let me show you what it means to be invincible. His incarnation suddenly burst into flames. It was terrifying to the extreme, and the might of the extreme Dao instantly became terrifying. Its power increased by several times in an instant. It's too powerful. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty exclaimed. Is the Dragon Prince going to burn his incarnation? Is he going to use his strongest attack? When the others heard this, their scalps went numb. A incarnation wasn't as simple as a clone. It needed to be nurtured for countless years to form. Moreover, the incarnation and the main body were inextricably linked. If the incarnation died, the main body would be injured, and even the soul would be injured. Now that the Dragon Prince was burning his incarnation, it seemed like he was really angry. Not good. The expressions of the people of the heavenly court became unsightly. This power was too strong, and the other party was obviously going to go all out. Would Mad God risk his life? The Dragon Prince stood in the sky full of dragon fire, shining in all directions. He sneered, I only lost one of my incarnations. It doesn't affect my main body much. With the resources I have, I can quickly recover. What about you? Are you going to fight me with your life? Either you burn your life force like me, or you get killed. The Dragon Prince roared and turned into a divine dragon, dancing between heaven and earth. The might of the extreme path merged with his incarnation, turning into a beam of extreme path light that carried the strongest killing intent. Everyone was sent flying, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. Mad God was dead for sure. Unless he burned his life force, he would definitely die even if he blocked the attack. He was too weak to fight against the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Did the other party want to fight with his life on the line? What a joke. Lin Xian's eyes flickered with an extremely cold light. He knew a little about incarnations. The Dragon Prince had cultivated incarnations, and he had killed one of them. In the end, he had still been injured. Furthermore, it was not an ordinary injury. It was obvious that the other party was trying to scare him. Through the heavenly secret divine eyes, he could see through the other party. Although he had burned his incarnation, his foundation was not shaken. It was just a bluff. If the other party really destroyed his incarnation, his main body would probably be injured as well, and he would not be able to be crowned in a short time. Lin Xian felt that the other party did not dare to take the risk. He sneered. Who was he trying to scare? In order to reach the peak of the sacred origin tower, you did not even participate in the Taoist sect's gathering. Would you damage your own strength for the current situation? In that case, the gap between you and the Kuan Peng finger will only grow. You might not even be able to catch up in your lifetime. As Lin Xian spoke, a terrifying light flickered in his eyes. There was even a pair of demon god eyes that looked down on the world. Everyone felt that their souls were about to shatter. Not good. The faces of the people from the Thousand Dragon dynasty changed drastically. Was the mad god trying to affect the Dragon Prince's Dao heart? The others were even more horrified. It was too terrifying. The mad god was actually on par with the Dragon Prince. It was unbelievable. Impossible. The purple dragon roared crazily. This was only the Dragon Prince's incarnation, and its strength was not even 1/10,000th of the Dragon Prince's main body. The surrounding people were silent, but they were rolling their eyes in their hearts. Not even 1/10,000th? That was too exaggerated. Everyone admitted that the incarnation was inferior to the main body. But how much power could be used depended on how long the incarnation had been condensed and how long it had been formed. Hence, no one other than the Dragon Prince knew how much power the incarnation had of the main body. In the Dragon Prince's body, dragon blood rumbled and 10,000 dragons roared. You think you can affect my Dao heart? It's useless. I have invincible faith. His will turned into an extremely terrifying divine spear that slashed out. Lin Xian also roared. You have invincible will, but I also have invincible faith. He had fought all the way and had never lost. An invincible aura also surged from his body and turned into a divine sword. The faith and will between the two of them actually started to clash. The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty went crazy. Kill the mad god. They had to kill him. This person did not have the imperial bloodline, but his Tao heart and faith were not weaker than the imperial bloodline. When he grew up in the future, he would be a peerless enemy. More importantly, he had an extreme weapon in his hand. Although it was only half a weapon, it was enough to turn the sky upside down. However, they were just talking about it. Now, even the Dragon Reflection Master did not dare to act rashly. If his sneak attack failed and the other party went crazy and attacked with extreme power, he would not have a good time either. Moreover, the other party had the armored giant and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals behind him. Could his sneak attack succeed? He could only rely on the Dragon Prince. The power in the Dragon Prince's body burned and directly tore apart countless black vortexes. Long Tu had already arrived at Lin Xian's side. "Kid, it's useless to say anything." Lin Xian sneered. Who didn't know how to burn their power? The power in his body also burned quickly, turning into a huge aura that surged into the sky-devouring jar. Was this guy crazy? The surrounding people were stunned. The Dragon Prince was an incarnation. Even if his incarnation was destroyed, he would only be injured. But the Mad God was the main body. If his main body was destroyed, it was impossible for him to survive. Everyone thought that Lin Xian had gone crazy. The people of the Heavenly Court were even more shocked. Even Black Mountain frowned. This kid was too crazy. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. First of all, he was only burning his power, and the consequences would not be life-threatening. At most, his power would be exhausted, and he would not have the strength to fight. Chapter 49-33. Although most of this world was desolate, the Four-Spirit Valley was developing very well and had gathered a lot of power. Lin Xian could instantly use the power of the Four-Spirit Valley to recover his strength. Therefore, he wouldn't be in danger by burning his power. Unless he burned his life force, that would be the real danger. With Lin Xian burning his power, he blocked the dragon diagram again. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Do you still have any trump cards? If not, then scram. Damn it, the Dragon Prince has gone crazy. I don't believe that he can persist with me." He planned to keep burning. The power of his incarnation continued to weaken, and so did the power of Lin Xian. This time, even Xueqi was nervous. If he continued burning and ran out of power, he might not die, but he would be ambushed by others. Everyone here was an expert. If they were hit, they might be killed. Lin Xian and the Dragon Prince's auras continued to weaken. Now, there was only 1/10 of them left. It was very dangerous. At this moment, the voice of the Golden Lion Array Spirit came from the Tao Palace. "I'll help you." A golden light shone from the Tao Palace and turned into a fearless lion that soared into the sky. The lion seemed to be a real primordial beast that had been revived. The power it carried was simply too terrifying. Not good. The expressions of the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty changed drastically. The Dragon Prince roared, "Damn it, how dare you? Do you believe that I won't kill you?" The Array Spirit snorted coldly. He was from the Heavenly Court. What was wrong with helping the Heavenly Court? Therefore, he didn't care about the threat of the Arch at all. The Golden Lion's power charged over. It didn't charge at the Dragon Prince at all. Instead, it surged into the Heaven-Devouring Jar. The Heaven-Devouring Jar contained a large amount of power, causing its power to increase by at least 5 times. At this moment, an even more terrifying power appeared. Even the Great Sage and the God Generals felt their hair stand on end. Not good, it's too dangerous. It's enough to threaten our lives. Retreat. Black Mountain controlled the Sky Lantern and retreated with his people. The Lord of the Great Wilderness had no choice but to retreat. Not good, the prince is in danger. Everyone looked at the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince was really in danger this time. The Dragon Prince's face turned cold. "Fine, I don't want this clone today. I'm going to kill you." A sharp killing intent surfaced in his eyes. Soon after, The core of his avatar began to burn. The 10,000 dragons portrait, which had reached the pinnacle of power, became extremely terrifying once again. He won. Draconic sovereign sighed, but there was no joy on his face. A dignified prince had to destroy an incarnation to kill a sage king. It was indeed not something to be proud of. It could even be said that it was somewhat embarrassing. However, everyone knew that this Saint King was not ordinary. He had half an extreme weapon, and he also had heaven-defying strength and talent. He was one of the top geniuses below the crown prince. Using an incarnation as the price to eliminate a potential future enemy was worth it. That brat was in danger. The people of the heavenly court were also very nervous. The dragon prince sneered. He merged with the might of the extreme Tao and charged over. The heaven-devouring jar was once again suppressed, and Lin Xian's strength was rapidly being depleted. Less than 1%. The dragon prince smiled. Die with my incarnation. Boom. Ignoring the consequences, he blocked the power of the golden lion. Lin Xian's aura continued to decline. When the other party ran out of strength, it would be time for him to die. Lin Xian smiled. You're wrong. I won't die with you. I'll kill your incarnation. With just you? The dragon prince's voice came from the flames. I've run out of patience. Let's end this. He would not waste any more words with the other party. The dragon portrait that filled the sky enveloped Lin Xian. The power on Lin Xian's body disappeared, but in the next moment, it surged out crazily. His aura rose again, as if it was about to reach the peak. How was this possible? The dragon prince's pupils shrank. Where did you get the power from? One had to know that with the other party's consumption, it was definitely not something that could be recovered by treasures. Even an herb king could not. Unless the other party had an herb king that was more than 50,000 years old. But even he did not have that, so how could the other party have it? The faces of Dragon Reflection Master and the others changed drastically, but Black Mountain's side heaved a sigh of relief. This kid really had a trump card. Lin Xian was currently using the Sword World, the power of the Four Spirit Valley. He did not have a 50,000-year-old herb king either. However, the power of the Sword World was not something that the Dragon Prince could expect. The Four Spirit Valley had fused with several worlds. In addition, there were 4 top-grade spirit veins. Once this power was released, it was enough to allow Lin Xian to recover in an instant. After recovering to his peak, Lin Xian continued to burn his power. He even continued to use the power of the Sword World. Even if he burned, his power would always be maintained at half of his peak. This made the Dragon Prince go crazy. Naturally, he would not have thought that there was a mysterious world in the other party's body. In his opinion, the other party's luck was heaven-defying, and he had obtained a precious spirit herb that was more than 10,000 years old. Damn it. In the end, he still could not defeat Lin Xian's power, and his incarnation gradually disappeared. In the void, a resentful voice came. Kid, you destroyed my incarnation. When my main body sees you, I will definitely make you suffer a fate worse than death. I will make you fall into hell forever. The voice made one's scalp tingle. Everyone knew that the Dragon Prince was really angry. This time, it was only his incarnation that had died. The other party's true body was much stronger than his incarnation. The mad god would be in danger in the future. When the other party returned to the ancient city, he would probably be destroyed by the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian sneered. You should recover from your injuries first. Since your incarnation was destroyed, I think it will take you a few years to recover. Facing the other party's threat, he did not care. The mad god was just one of his identities. At most, he would use the identity of Lin Xian. It would not be easy for the other party to find him. I am the mad god of the heavenly court. Who dares to fight with me? Lin Xian held the heaven-swallowing jar in his hand and looked down at the surroundings. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Even the Lord of the Great Desolation and the Lord of Dragon Reflection had cold expressions and did not attack. If you don't dare to fight, then scram. Lin Xian snorted and burned his power. The aura of the heaven-swallowing jar swept over and swept across the surroundings. Retreat! The people of the Purple Mansion sect quickly retreated. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court also retreated under the lead of the Lord of Dragon Reflection. The other party's power was too strange. They had not figured it out yet, so they could not attack rashly. Otherwise, they would probably be completely annihilated. In an instant, everyone retreated and retreated out of the southern heavenly gate. Lin Xian, He Shan, and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals chased them all the way to the south heaven gate. Chapter 49-34. Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. His face was a little pale, and he immediately stopped burning his power. He felt like his body was about to split apart. Damn it, it seems like my physique is damaged too. I won't do this again unless it's absolutely necessary. Lin Xian needed to go into seclusion for a while. He Shan said, "Well done, kid. Don't worry, the heavenly court has secret pills that can help you recover. I won't hold back then." Using this kind of burning power and using an extreme weapon continuously is very taxing on one's physique. Lin Xian was only able to withstand it because he had a divine body. Even so, his divine body was damaged, and he needed to go into seclusion for a month or two. Holy Abyss Ancient City gradually calmed down after the Taoist sect's grand ceremony. Everyone followed their previous paths and began to cultivate. However, on this day, an extremely terrifying roar was heard. The ancient city shook, and the sky cracked as an endless black hole appeared. The kings, supremacies, and young martial artists all fainted. Even the sages vomited blood, and some of the more powerful sages' pupils shrank. What a terrifying bloodline pressure. Who's angry? Why does it feel like a god has been resurrected? The clan of the ancients, the great sects, and the three great orthodoxies all went to investigate. The top seniors looked through the sky and into the distance. There was a pagoda that stood between heaven and earth, emitting a desolate aura. The Holy Abyss Tower. The voice came from there. The people in the Holy Abyss Tower were also terrified. Some of the divine generals' pupils shrank. This aura of the Way of the Dragon belongs to the Dragon Prince. Why is he so angry? Everyone guessed, but no one dared to go investigate. Some of the divine generals reported the news to the Thousand Dragon Court. It's better to let the dragons deal with it themselves. The voice just now carried an extremely strong murderous intent. Whoever appeared in front of the other party at this time would probably be torn to pieces. On the 90-odd floor of the Holy Abyss Tower, a figure opened his eyes. The aura of the Way of the Dragon on his body was even more terrifying. It was as if he was the real dragon god. He was the Dragon Prince's true body. Damn it, how dare you destroy my clone? His face was pale, and dragon blood danced in the air around him. He was really mad. His true body knew everything that his clone had experienced. In the end, he didn't expect that the other party didn't die. Instead, he killed his clone. This was something that had never happened to him before. If he were to suffer such a huge loss in the hands of the Kuanping child, then he would accept it. The other party was an imperial prince and had awakened earlier than him. But now an ant had injured him. This was something he could not accept. He had always been high and mighty. Other than a few people, he had never put anyone else in his eyes. That was probably why he was so angry right now. Mad God, I will never let you go. I will make you wish you were dead. When the people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty received the message from the God General, they immediately rushed over. The voices of two old men rang out from outside the secret chamber. "Prince, how are you?" Could it be that his cultivation speed was so fast that his Tao heart was unstable? The two of them were extremely anxious. "It's nothing. I was bitten by an ant. I'm injured. Hurry back to the clan and bring me the dragon's sacred medicine. I can't spend too much time on healing. I have to rush to the peak of the Saint Origin Tower." Therefore, he had to recover immediately. The old man outside heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. It seemed that he was fine. They said, "Yes, we'll report back to the family." The two of them left. They went to get the dragon's sacred medicine. However, they still did not know what caused the Dragon Prince to be injured. Was it because Kuanping Z gave him too much pressure? Now that the Dragon Prince had ascended the Saint Origin Tower, he was only 2 levels away from the peak. It was only a matter of time before he became the crown king. The people outside did not understand the situation at the Saint Origin Tower. They were all guessing. Some of the top experts already knew that the angry roar was from the Dragon Prince. However, they did not know why the Dragon Prince was angry. The heavenly sect was the most nervous. Could it be related to Kunpengzi? They were about to ask. Kunpengzi was not around. Not long after, a piece of shocking news came from Saint Origin Ancient City. The exploration of the Heavenly Court's ruins had a result. Countless people were surprised. Naturally, they knew that the Heavenly Court's ruins had appeared. Every clan and sect had sent a group of experts. The 3 major orthodoxies were no exception. How were they doing now? They did not know what was inside the Heavenly Court, but there was a piece of news that stunned them. In the Heavenly Court's ruins, one of the Dragon Prince's clones was killed. As soon as the news came out, the entire Saint Origin Ancient City was stirred up. Everyone went crazy. That was a crown prince. A single clone could defeat everything and make the geniuses of the same generation bow their heads. Who could kill a clone now? Was it someone from the older generation? They heard that a few powerful peak great sage went there. Could it be them? It was possible. They were probably the only ones who had such strength. Some people said that other than a few peak great sage, there was another person who could do it. Everyone asked. News spread that Kunpengzi's clone had also arrived at the Heavenly Court's ruins. Everyone was surprised. Did the clones of the 2 crown princes fight? Did the Dragon Prince lose the battle? It was unbelievable. Now, everyone was regretting it. They should have seen it with their own eyes. A battle between crown princes would not happen for thousands of years. In fact, it might not even happen in 10,000 years. If they could see it with their own eyes, they would be able to brag about it for the rest of their lives. No way. Kunpengzi was the first to be crowned king, and now he killed the Dragon Prince's clone. Was he going to suppress the Dragon Prince? One after another, voices sounded. When the Heavenly Sect heard the news, they were very happy. After all, they were on Kunpengzi's side. On the Taoist sect's side, they frowned. Not good. The Dragon Prince's clone was killed and injured. Hurry up and send him some healing medicine. They had placed all their hopes on the Dragon Prince. How could they not be nervous now? When the Thousand Dragon Court received the news, they were also shocked. They gritted their teeth. Damn it, was Kunpengzi already so powerful? They said that since he dared to kill the Dragon Prince's clone, they would kill his clone. The Thousand Dragon Court was preparing to send out experts to assassinate Kunpengzi's clone. For a moment, undercurrents surged. The Heavenly Sect also hurriedly sent people out to welcome them. The death of the clone would affect the Crown Prince's strength. It might delay him for several years. The other ancient families and peerless sects were also waiting for their people to return. He wondered if those people had recorded the scene of the battle with the formation. Finally, those who went to the Heavenly Court's ruins returned. The first to return were Kunpengzi and the others because they were the first to leave. When they returned to the vicinity of Holy Abyss City, Kunpengzi and the others were chased. Chapter 49-35. Not good. The Heaven Sect people's expressions changed. Was the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty going to attack? Kunpeng hollered in rage and shot out an extremely strong attack. The Heaven Sect people sent out a distress signal. They were not far from the ancient city. Not long later, the Heaven Sect experts came to save them. Only then did they manage to protect Kunpengzi's incarnation. Kunpengzi's face was dark and cold. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty people roared, but they returned without success. The Kunpeng race people were furious. Did the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty want to start a war with them? They would fight them to the end. Normally, the battle between the princes was a matter of location. The other experts of the emperor races wouldn't interfere. At least, they wouldn't directly assassinate them. Now, the other party had obviously broken the rules. Kunpengzi's expression was really ugly. He asked if the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty people were crazy. Did they want to start a war between the two emperor races? The people who came to save them explained that they had no choice. Dragon Prince's incarnation was killed by them, so they were probably really crazy. Kunpeng Zi was stunned. What did they say? Dragon Prince's incarnation was killed? When did that happen? The experts who came were stunned too. Didn't they know? Kunpeng Zi shook his head. Those people were stunned. How was that possible? Didn't they kill him? Wind Snow God General and the others said that Kunpeng Zi left early. So, he wasn't the one who killed him. Then who was it? Could it be that a supreme saint of the older generation had killed the incarnation of the Dragon Prince? But why did the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty want to take revenge on them? Let's go back first. Kunpeng Zi's face was dark and cold. Although this matter was shocking to him, he had a rough idea. He waved his hand and brought these people back to Heaven Sect. After returning, everyone gathered in the main hall. Those Heaven Sect elders and Kunpeng race experts were really confused. Kunpeng Zi and the others explained what happened. Only then did the others understand that the Heaven Sect actually had some trump cards. Moreover, he was revived. It seemed like the Heaven Sect was the one who killed Dragon Prince's incarnation. That should be the case. Kunpeng Zi took in a deep breath and thought about someone. Was it that mad god? But he left early, so he didn't know. He said that he wanted to investigate and ask about what happened after he left. I'll go. Divine General Wind Snow left with his men. The Kunpeng elders gritted their teeth. Damn it, the Celestial Court did it, so why did the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty do it to us? Kunpeng Zi said that the news hadn't been completely spread out yet. They probably only knew that the Dragon Prince's clone had fallen, but no one knew who killed him. In most people's eyes, I'm the only one who can kill Dragon Prince's clone. That's why they attacked me. This time, everyone completely understood. Indeed, even they thought that it was done by the Kunpeng Zi, let alone other people. Then what should we do? Should I go and clarify the matter? Kunpeng Zi said that there was no need. The news would spread quickly. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would change their targets, but since he dared to assassinate me, I would let him know the consequences. The eyes of the Kunpeng race brightened as well. The Dragon Prince should be injured now. Maybe we can take this opportunity to attack him. There was more than one Imperial Prince. There would definitely be a battle in the future, and there would definitely be Imperial Princes who would fall. The Dragon Prince was a very powerful potential enemy. Although they were behind Kunpeng Zi now, no one could say for sure in the future. Now that the Dragon Prince was injured, it was an opportunity for them. If they could kill him or make his injuries worse, then the Dragon Prince would have no hope in the battle for the Emperor's Road in the future. Kunpeng Zi nodded. Think of a way. Don't attack directly, or it would cause a war between the Emperor races. The Kunpeng race began to prepare. At the same time, more news was sent back. Everyone went crazy. The Dragon Prince's clone was not killed by Kunpeng Zi. Heavens, who was it? Was it someone at the peak of the Great Sage? The Celestial Court had the ability to revive. What? You said it was Mad God who killed him? News came one after another. The most shocking one was the news about Mad God. Mad God killed the Dragon Prince's clone. Everyone felt like they were dreaming. They were never unfamiliar with the name Mad God. It could even be said that he was well known. But compared to the Dragon Prince, the difference was like heaven and earth. No matter how strong Mad God was, he was only ranked 1000 in the Holy Gulf Tower. The Dragon Prince was ranked second. How did this guy do it? Some said that the Dragon Prince was just a clone. Mad God had half an extreme grade weapon and the help of the Heavenly Court's elites. That was how he succeeded. But even so, it was enough to shock everyone. Everyone knew that a storm was coming. Would the Dragon Prince let it go? Would the 1000 Dragon Court let it go? They would definitely kill him. After the 1000 Dragon Court received the news, they were also stunned. It was not Kunpeng Zi. It was Mad God. Damn it, if they wanted to catch him, he had half an extreme grade weapon. The 1000 Dragon Court changed their target and began to search for Mad God. They even set up various traps on the way back. As long as he appeared, they were guaranteed to kill him in one strike. The people of the three great orthodoxies were shocked, especially the Tao sect. The people of the Dragon Palace could not believe it. Mad God, It was Mad God again. Mad God had killed many of their geniuses at the Tao sect's sacred assembly. Now, he was attacking the Dragon Prince. The people of the Divine Union were also shocked and clenched their fists. No matter how arrogant the people of the Dragon Palace were, the Dragon Prince's clone was still killed by Mad God. The dark red Divine Dragon and the others were even more shocked. They knew that Mad God was Lin Xian. Had this brat already reached such a terrifying stage? Everyone was discussing. Regardless of whether it was the young disciples or the older generation experts, they were all shocked. Many people began to look for Lin Xian. Lin Xian's friends and allies were worried about him. The people of the Dragon Prince were gnashing their teeth. The people of the three great orthodoxies had returned, and so had the people of the sacred Abyss Tower. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court were the first to keep an eye on the people of the sacred Abyss Tower, but they could not find any trace of Mad God. How was that possible? Could it be that the brat had escaped? They went straight to Divine General Haiyuan and the others. Divine General Haiyuan and the others were also facing a great enemy. Would the people of the Thousand Dragon Court attack them directly? Fortunately, the other party only asked about it. Divine General Haiyuan said that Mad God did not come out with them. He stayed in the Heavenly Court. This was not a secret. Apart from Divine General Haiyuan and the others, everyone knew about it. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court gritted their teeth. Damn it, they did not believe that Mad God would not come out forever. They sent people to stay here and keep watch. Some of them returned to report to the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince had been waiting for news. When he heard that Mad God had not returned, he shouted coldly. He could not hide forever. Guard the way back and the sacred Abyss Tower. Keep a close watch on Divine General Haiyuan and the others. If they had any contact with Mad God, attack immediately. A group of people left. The Dragon Prince asked, "Where is my sacred medicine of the dragons? Is it not here yet?" "The sacred medicine is on the way. It will be here soon," the powerhouse of the dragons said. However, there were some changes when the sacred medicine of the dragons was delivered. Chapter 49-36. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court roared and fought. For you. The mysterious people didn't reply and just attacked. Damn it. The two sides fought, causing the sky to collapse. But in the end, the 10,000 Dragon Court took out a few legendary saint weapons and destroyed everything. The mysterious enemies disappeared. Leave, someone wants to harm the Dragon Prince. They didn't dare to be careless and kept teleporting. Finally, they arrived at the Holy Abyss Tower. The guard asked, "What is going on?" Even the Dragon Prince frowned. The expert who came said, "Someone wants to kill us and destroy the saint medicine." "What? These people are crazy. Who are they? Who dares to go against the 10,000 Dragon Court?" The Dragon Prince's face turned cold and gloomy as he roared. It was obvious that someone wanted to take advantage of this time to stop him from recovering. Who was it? Was it someone related to the Mad God? No. The Dragon Prince said that the Heavenly Court had just recovered and didn't have so much power. Also, they wouldn't have come so quickly. Then who was it? The Dragon Prince scoffed coldly. Who benefits the most from me being injured? The 10,000 Dragon Court expert sucked in a cold breath. You mean Kunping-zi? Apart from him, I can't think of anyone else. The Dragon Prince's eyes were filled with killing intent. Although the Mad God was despicable, he wasn't his true enemy. He only had one true enemy, Kunping-zi. At this moment, an elder outside said that someone from the Kunping race had sent healing pills to help the Dragon Prince recover. Hearing this, the Dragon Prince laughed coldly. "You failed to assassinate me, so you came to investigate? Tell him that I'm missing." The elder went out to reply and the others all left. The door of the secret room closed and the surrounding array shone. The Dragon Prince had a jade bottle in his hand and there were 6 pills inside. They were the healing pills of the dragons and were extremely precious. One pill was enough to heal his current injuries. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't use such a precious pill if he lost one of his clones. But not now. He had been fighting with Kunpeng Zi and he had already fallen behind. He couldn't waste any more time. Thinking about this, he opened the bottle and poured out a drop of the medicine of the dragons. He then swallowed it. A terrifying power exploded from his body. It was a strong life force that healed his injuries. The Dragon Prince curled his lips into a smile. 2 days later, he would be able to recover from his injuries. But suddenly, his pupils shrank, and he roared towards the sky. Detestable. Countless draconic chi laws condensed, wanting to shatter that medicinal pill. However, his body swayed, and he spat out a mouthful of black blood. Dragon scales appeared on his body, and he turned into a dragon shadow, roaring toward the sky. The 9 heavens and 10 earths were shaking. The sacred abyss tower shook violently. Outside, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's experts were all talking in low voices. With the dragon's sacred medicine, there wouldn't be any problems. They could rest assured now. However, all of a sudden, they heard a furious roar. The voice was 10 times more furious than before. Not good. These people's expressions changed greatly, and they hurriedly returned. The array formation of the secret room was torn apart, and these people rushed in. "Prince, how are you?" they asked nervously. But in the next moment, these people's pupils suddenly shrank, and their faces became unsightly. The Dragon Prince sat there with a pale face and black blood flowing in front of him. He was poisoned. A few of the dragon's elders hurriedly rushed over. They struck out shocking laws and fused them into Long Fangji's body. Not good, they couldn't suppress it. What kind of poison was this? How could it be poisonous? Could it be that there was something wrong with the dragon's sacred medicine? Damn it, don't think about this anymore. Hurry up and save the prince. These people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had gone crazy. If anything happened to the Dragon Prince, even if they died 100 times, it wouldn't be enough. Hurry up and ask the Tower Master of the Sacred Abyss Tower to take out the best healing medicine. At the same time, they activated the super teleportation array and rushed back to the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Orders sounded one after another. The entire Sacred Abyss Tower was alarmed. They moved quickly, and an extremely terrifying array formation flickered in the sky. Therefore, everyone in the Sacred Abyss ancient city saw it. What was going on? What happened? Was someone teleporting over? Kunpeng Zi stood there, his eyes flickering. The Kunpeng expert beside him said, "That's not right. Our people were blocked and didn't succeed at all." Kunpeng Zi said, "But I can feel that the Dragon Prince's aura has become very weak. It was obvious that he was injured. It was very likely that he was poisoned. I don't know who did it." The Dragon Prince's situation was very bad. However, he was an imperial prince after all. At this moment, his bloodline had activated, and the fragments of the great emperor's bloodline were constantly circling around him. It protected his heart meridian. Damn it, the poison of the Fire Qilin Cave. Was it the Fire Qilin Cave? Damn it, I won't let him off. After saying this, the Dragon Prince fainted. Beside him, the expressions of the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty turned ugly. The Fire Qilin Cave was also an emperor race, but it was not on the same continent as them. On another continent, the mountains and rivers were far away. How could the other party plot against them? Damn it, they were too careless. They had been on guard against Kunpeng Zi. Who would have thought that it was a third imperial prince? The teleportation array was ready. This was the divine spring pill. Soon, the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty rushed over and gave the top-grade divine pill to the Dragon Prince. At the same time, the array formation around them flickered. The super teleportation array activated and teleported them away. The array formation flickered between heaven and earth, about to disappear. The Kunpeng expert gritted his teeth and asked, "Are we still going to chase after them?" Kunpeng Zi shook his head. There was no need, someone had already acted for them. Since he could succeed, then this poison was definitely not simple. The Dragon Prince was really unlucky this time. Let's go. The people from the Kunpeng race laughed proudly. It seemed like he couldn't become an emperor in his life. Everything depended on him. At the same time, An elder said solemnly that they would send more people to follow Kunpeng-zi and pay attention to the movements of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. They would inform the family to be ready to activate the extreme weapons at any time. If the Dragon Prince was seriously injured, who knew if the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would go crazy? So, they had to be fully prepared. Kunpeng-zi said that there was no need to go through so much trouble. He was prepared to return to the family. That was good. The surrounding experts heaved a sigh of relief. If they returned to the Emperor race, no matter how strong the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty was, they wouldn't be able to hurt them. Saint Origin City was still talking about Mad God when another piece of news spread out, causing the surrounding people to go crazy. The Dragon Prince was poisoned. No way, what was going on? However, this news quickly disappeared. It was as if someone had secretly wiped out everything. This shocked many people. Before, they thought that the news was fake. Someone wanted to use this time to attack the Dragon Prince and even suppress him. But now it seemed like that wasn't the case. The news was most likely true. The Dragon Prince was really poisoned. Who did it? Mad God? They felt that it was impossible. Could it be another emperor's son? Many people thought of Kunpeng-zi, but without evidence, no one dared to say anything. At the same time, Lin Xian returned. The demonic energy around his body disappeared and he returned to his original appearance. When he returned to the ancient city, he felt a cold aura covering his body. Chapter 49-37. Lin Xian suppressed his dragon soul and bloodline and narrowed his eyes. Were they from the 10,000 Dragon Court? It seemed like these people had not given up. However, he swaggered in front of the 10,000 Dragon Court powerhouses and none of them realized that he was the Mad God. Just like that, Lin Xian returned to the Dao sect safely. The Dark Rainbow Divine Dragon and the others heaved a sigh of relief when they arrived at the Divine Union. They had been worried that Lin Xian would be targeted by the 10,000 Dragon Court. It seemed like he was safe now. Lin Xian said after returning home. Why was the Dao sect so quiet? This shouldn't be the case. If news of the Heavenly Court had come back, the world would have been shocked. However, Lin Xian realized that the people of the Dao were very low-key. It seemed like there were fewer people. He gathered the people of the Divine Union and asked if the news of the Heavenly Court had come back. The news had come back and it was really shocking. The Mad God was really powerful. He had actually been able to kill the Dragon Prince's clone. The people of the Divine Union were very excited and their eyes were filled with stars. Lin Xian smiled. Let's see if the 10,000 Dragon Court still dared to be arrogant. However, why was the Dao so quiet? Lin Xian frowned again. Bai Susu said as she walked over. There was something even more shocking. What was it? Lin Xian had just returned, so he did not know. Bai Susu said that there were rumors that the Dragon Prince had been poisoned and severely injured. Therefore, the people of the Dragon Palace were very low-key and had not come out recently. Furthermore, the Dao was on the Dragon Prince's side. How could the Dao be happy when the Dragon Prince was being suppressed? The flood poison. Lin Xian was stunned. He knew that the Dragon Prince would be injured. However, a clone should not be enough to be poisoned. Bai Susu shook her head. The Dragon Prince had the 10,000 Dragon Court behind him, but it was impossible for him to rule the world. There were many princes competing with him, including the Kunpeng-zi. Lin Xian took a deep breath. It seemed like the battle between the princes was much more complicated than he had imagined. Perhaps the Kunpeng-zi wanted to use this opportunity to eliminate the Dragon Prince. No matter who he is, the dark red dragon sneered. As long as he is injured, I am very happy. They had come to kill the Dragon Prince and take revenge for Long Guang. Now, before they had even made a move, the Dragon Prince had already been heavily injured. Lin Xian asked, "Can you get more specific information?" Bai Susu shook her head. Less than a day after the news surfaced, someone had already stopped it from spreading. Clearly, someone did not want this news to spread. Therefore, we guessed that Long Huangzi was really injured. Lin Xian nodded. I understand, he said, preparing to go find Leaf Dao Denier to investigate the situation. Leaf Dao Denier also returned, and was just as shocked as he was when he heard the news. He sent a letter to Lin Xian stating that he wasn't sure. However, Kun Pingzi also disappeared, seemingly returning to his family. When Lin Xian received this news, he narrowed his eyes. It seemed like it was going to be very dangerous these days. Even Kun Pingzi had to go into seclusion to avoid danger. It seemed like the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty might go crazy. He said to the people around him, "Keep a low profile and don't offend the Dragon Palace or the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty." If the Dragon Prince died, the mad dog that was the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would bite anyone it saw. Lin Xian also made up his mind. He wouldn't use the mad god identity for now. He was going to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. Then he would go to another place. This time, he received a piece of news. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the people of the Divine Union nodded. Even Bai Susu said, "That's right, I'm going to go into seclusion this time. I'll take advantage of this opportunity to improve a lot." Lin Xian also went into seclusion. He returned to the Sword World. Previously, when he fought with the Dragon Prince, he had used a lot of the Sword World's power. At this moment, the light of the Four Spirit Valley was a little dim. However, Lin Xian wasn't worried, because he could feel that the power inside was recovering. There were 6 stars in the Four Spirit Valley, which were 6 worlds. As long as these 6 worlds weren't destroyed, the power consumed could be recovered. Moreover, the recovery speed was extremely fast. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. He was cultivating the Fearless Lion mark in the Sword World. The core of the Fearless Lion mark was fearlessness. It was very similar to Lin Xian's invincible heart. Therefore, Lin Xian was able to cultivate it easily. The dark red divine dragon, Fu Hongye, and the others also started to cultivate in seclusion. No Flower also joined in. Furthermore, because of the Dragon Prince's poison, more people joined the Divine Union during this period of time. It seemed like some people weren't optimistic about the Dragon Palace. On another continent, a figure was sitting cross-legged in a place filled with flames. The surrounding lava could easily turn the great sage into ashes. In front of him, an old man flew over with a smile on his face. The man in the flames opened his eyes and said, "Success?" The old man nodded. It was a success. Very good. The man in the flames stood up and smiled. This time, it was enough for Dragon Marshal to suffer. The identity of the man in the flames wasn't ordinary. He was a disciple of the Fire Qilin race called Fire Qilin Z. He was also the one who had secretly injured the Dragon Prince. 10,000 Dragon Court. The atmosphere was tense. The elders of the 10,000 Dragon Court gritted their teeth and looked cold. Who was the one who had done it? They had to tear him into pieces. The great sage who followed them said that the Dragon Prince had said that it was Fire Qilin Z who had done it. What? Fire Qilin Z? The Fire Qilin race? They could do it even if they weren't on this continent. Damn it, they had gone too far. Did they want to die? Let's go and kill the Fire Qilin race together. Let the Fire Qilin race know how powerful we are. The powerhouses of the dragons were enraged. At that moment, an old man walked over. Don't act rashly. The most important thing now was to treat the Dragon Prince as soon as possible. Old ancestor, how is it? Those people asked anxiously. The old man's face turned ugly. If the poison of the Great Path was not cured, it could very well cause a Great Path injury. Upon hearing this, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court had ugly looks on their faces. A Great Path injury was even more frightening than an injury to one's foundation. If it wasn't healed properly, one's cultivation base would never improve. He might even become a cripple. Old ancestor, you have to treat the Dragon Prince. What kind of treasure does my 10,000 Dragon Court not have? The old ancestor of the dragons said. Although they had many trump cards, the person who attacked was also from the Emperor race. The poison that they used was left by the Emperor. Ordinary great sages would immediately be reduced to ashes after consuming it. The Dragon Prince had the bloodline of the Emperor race, which was why he was able to survive until now. But the situation wasn't good. I have already used the strength of the extreme path to suppress the poison in my body. But I have to find a healing medicine within a year. Otherwise, it will cause a Great Path injury. Now, go investigate and don't let go of any clues. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Court all searched. 5 days later, they gathered once more. Old ancestor, we found it. Chapter 49-38. Spirit Realm. It was a mysterious place with towering ancient trees. It was a primeval forest. More importantly, there were countless spirit herbs and spirit fruits. Legend had it that there was a spirit spring of life in Spirit Realm. Therefore, the spirit herbs that grew there were much better than other places. However, there were many spirit herbs there, so it was very powerful. There were many experts and top alchemists. Other forces had to curry favor with Spirit Realm. In front, the dragon's old ancestor's eyes flickered. He said, "Okay, let's contact Spirit Realm. But don't say what we're thinking. Ask them about the Tree of Life first. I heard that Spirit Realm had an immortal divine herb. Check if there's one." His subordinates moved quickly. The core elders walked over and said, "Old ancestor, I'm afraid Spirit Realm won't give us the Tree of Life." Indeed, the Tree of Life was precious. It was the core of Spirit Realm. It depended on their choice. If they were obedient, they would let him live. If they didn't, then don't blame the Thousand Dragons dynasty for being impolite. For the Dragon Prince, we can do anything, even at all costs. The old ancestor's eyes shone with a sharp light. The core elders around him took a deep breath. They understood that the old ancestor meant that if the other party didn't give them the Tree of Life, they would use all their extreme weapons for the Dragon Prince. Therefore, they started to prepare. They prepared a lot of resources. After all, the consumption of extreme weapons was unimaginable. But for the Dragon Prince, it was all worth it. On the Dragon Tribe's side, Lin Xian of the Dao Palace's Divine Union also opened his eyes and walked out of the Sword World. The fearless lion seal had reached a bottleneck. It was useless for him to cultivate it any further. Moreover, he had other things to do. Lin Xian hadn't forgotten about Xia Jiuyo. In addition, he had met up with the Heavenly Court and asked for some information. Spirit Realm had the Tree of Life. There might be divine fruits of life or divine spring of life. He might be able to save Xia Jiuyo. After all, Xia Jiuyo wasn't seriously injured. He was dying. This was the most difficult to treat, but Spirit Realm was extraordinary. They had produced immortal divine herbs before. The immortal divine herb was a divine herb exclusive to great emperors. If a great emperor swallowed it, he would be able to live for another lifetime, which was equivalent to doubling his lifespan. That was why Lin Xian was preparing to head to Spirit Realm. Lin Xian didn't bring many people with him. After he left the Holy Ji Palace, there was someone waiting for him outside. It was Xueqi. "Husband, where are we going next?" Xueqi asked. Lin Xian had told him to go to Spirit Realm. The two of them rose into the air and flew into the distance. Spirit Realm was also on the Alcade continent, but it wasn't close to Holy Abyss Ancient City. Furthermore, Spirit Realm knew that this was an independent space just by hearing the name. It had only left a set of coordinates on the Alcade continent. It was equivalent to a spatial entrance, so ordinary people couldn't find it at all. Lin Xian had received news from Black Mountain, which was why he knew about this. At this moment, they were heading towards a city. This city was called Limitless City. Although it wasn't passed down from ancient times, it was still very mysterious. Behind the Everlasting City was a forest known as the Everlasting Mountain Range. This place was very special, and ordinary saints wouldn't be able to return if they went there. They would have to ride the Everlasting War Chariot. Heaven and earth gave birth to two elements, and this place was called Limitless. It seemed like there was a kind of energy that was independent of heaven and earth. People who came here were very careful. After Lin Xian and Xueqi arrived, they prepared to look for a war chariot. Xueqi wore a veil because she had just entered the city, and she had attracted countless gazes. It was rare to see a peerless beauty like her with such an icy temperament, and those people couldn't even move after seeing her. Xueqi wore a veil to avoid unnecessary trouble. The two of them searched the city, and they quickly found a war chariot. They paid the money and prepared to ride it. The war chariot was very big, and it looked like a walking palace from the outside. It was divided into many secret rooms and rooms. There was even a great hall. There was a restaurant and so on. It was very luxurious. Of course, the price was enough to make a saint's heart ache, but it wasn't worth mentioning to Lin Xian. After they entered the war chariot, Lin Xian was surprised. The war chariot's exterior was made of black gold, and it was carved with Tao patterns and formations. The interior was unexpectedly made of stone. These stones seemed to have a mysterious aura. Lin Xian used his heavenly secret divine eyes to observe them, and he nodded slightly. At this moment, the woman who led them in said with a smile, "Young master, these aren't ordinary stones. They are called everlasting stones, and only war chariots made of everlasting stones can travel in the everlasting forest. Otherwise, they will disappear mysteriously." This woman was called Aku, and she was the guide. "So that's how it is." Lin Xian smiled. Aku looked at Xueqi and said enviously, "This elder sister is so beautiful. Although she is wearing a veil, she must be a peerless beauty. She must be young master's companion." Lin Xian nodded, and Xueqi also thanked her. As they walked through the hall and toward the resting area, two people walked toward them. They were very young. The man was handsome, and he wore luxurious clothes. When he saw Xueqi, he was startled, and his eyes lit up. He didn't expect to see a fairy with such a temperament here. The other person, who looked like a scholar, was also sizing her up. Lin Xian was also startled. The young man dressed like a scholar was actually a woman, and she was also very beautiful. A woman dressed as a man. Interesting. Lin Xian smiled at the other party. The scholar was startled, and he looked at Lin Xian with disgust. He snorted, then turned around and left. Aku, who was leading the way, said, "These two people had extraordinary identities, and it was said that they came from the Medicine Star. They seemed to be from one of the two great powers of the Medicine Star, the Alchemy Kingdom." The Alchemy Kingdom. Lin Xian was also surprised after hearing this. He had been to the Medicine Star before, and he had obtained the 4 spirit veins from there. The Alchemy Kingdom was one of the two great powers of the Medicine Star, and the other one was the Medicine Sect. Lin Xian had fought with the Medicine Sect's experts, and he didn't expect to meet people from the Alchemy Kingdom again. Judging from their arrogant appearance, they should be of great status in the Alchemy Kingdom. Are they also going to the spirit domain? Lin Xian was puzzled. But soon, he shook his head and didn't care about it anymore. The two of them went into their room, which was very close to the Alchemy Kingdom's people. It could be said that they were right across from each other. After they went in, they rested for a while, and when evening came, they went to the restaurant for dinner. There were many people in the restaurant, and all of them had extraordinary strength and status. Ordinary people couldn't afford to board the black gold chariot. Chapter 49-39. The two sat down. Not far from them were the two people from the Alchemy Kingdom. Lin Xian looked at them, but the little scholar snorted and turned his head away. In her eyes, Lin Xian's interest in a man like her meant that there was something fishy going on. However, she didn't know that her aura-concealing jade necklace could block the detection of a saint. Even the great sage might not be able to see through her identity. Unfortunately, she met Lin Xian. Lin Xian's divination god gaze instantly saw through her, which was why she smiled like that earlier. That smile caused the little scholar to feel extremely uncomfortable. Lin Xian glanced at him and ignored him. He told Xueqi, "Sit here for a bit, I'm going out for a bit." He went out. Not long after, a shout came from the distance. "Get out of the way, my young master is coming. Who dares to block my path? Do you want to die?" Even the saint monarchs backed away after hearing this. Who could be so arrogant? The young man from the Alchemy Kingdom frowned. The little scholar also had a look of disgust as he looked up. They saw a group of people coming from the distance with majestic gait. Their bodies were surrounded by the grand Tao as if they were gods descending to the mortal world. Walking in the middle was a man with a head full of white hair. He had 5 storage rings in his hands. Moreover, they were all top grade. It was obvious that he had an extraordinary background. There were many guards next to him. One of them snorted and said, "Scram, our young master has no place to sit." The person who was chased away had an ugly expression as he suddenly stood up. He was a middle-aged man with terrifying flames revolving around his body. At this time, someone came over and whispered a few words to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's expression changed as he turned around and left. "You're quite fast." The guard snorted and placed a chair in front of him. "Young master, quickly sit down." The white-haired man nodded. Just as he was about to sit down, he suddenly exclaimed in surprise. From where he was standing, there was a woman in front of him. He could only see the side of her face, and she was wearing a veil. However, his rich experience told him that this was a peerless beauty. He didn't expect to meet a peerless fairy in this place. He didn't sit down and continued to walk forward. After seeing this, the surrounding people quickly followed. "Fairy, don't you feel lonely?" The white-haired man arrived in front of Xueqi and spoke with a smile. The others also looked over and exclaimed in surprise. "What a mysterious woman!" Thinking about it, under the veil, there must be a peerless face. Xueqi cast a glance at him before she withdrew her gaze. She calmly drank her tea, and it seemed as if she didn't pay any attention to him. She was also an ice beauty. The white-haired man became even more interested. He sat down and asked, "How should I address you, fairy?" "I'm called by Zhangxing." When the surrounding people saw this scene, they shook their heads slightly. It seemed that this mysterious woman would not be able to escape the clutches of the devil. Obviously, this white-haired man was very famous, at least in this area. Many people on the war chariot knew her, so they all felt sad for her. The two people from the kingdom frowned as well, especially the little scholar. He sighed and said, "You're right." The reason why she used the jade pendant necklace to change her appearance and aura was to avoid such trouble. Now, it seemed that she had made the right decision. Xueqi glanced at him in disgust. "No matter who you are, please leave immediately. This place is already occupied." The fairy's voice was really pleasant to the ears, like the celestial voice of the 9 heavens. Bai Zongxing smiled. "Occupied? Is it your sister? That's good, I want to see her." This woman was so beautiful and mysterious, so her friend must be extraordinary as well. If she was also a peerless beauty, then Bai Zongxing felt that he would be rich today. The place she spoke of is mine. At this time, a faint voice resounded. The surrounding people looked over, and Bai Zongxing frowned. It was a man's voice, and he immediately became angry. When he turned around, he saw a man walking over. Damn, this brat was even more handsome than him. This made him even angrier. Where did this brat come from? Get lost. Can't you see that I'm chatting with the fairy? Lin Xian chuckled as well. What kind of reckless fool are you? I'll give you 3 seconds to leave my place. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. After these words came out, the surrounding people went into an uproar, and they all looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a fool. The guard next to Bai Zongxing also laughed. "Brat, this is your first time in Everlasting City, yet you dare to be so disrespectful to our young noble Bai? Do you know our young master Bai's identity?" The two people from the Alchemy Kingdom shook their heads and sighed. The little scholar snorted. This guy was too bold. The guards next to Bai Zongxing were all top Saint Monarchs. Although there were only 4 of them, they were definitely a powerful force. Add to that Bai Zongxing's identity, even the great sage wouldn't dare to act rashly. Lin Xian laughed even more. It had been a long time since someone dared to challenge him. He asked, "Then do you know my identity?" "Oh brat, you have some background. Tell me, can you scare this young master?" Bai Zongxing sneered. Lin Xian glanced at him. "You're not qualified to know. Do you want to die?" Bai Zongxing felt that he had been played, and his expression darkened. The 4 guards also came over with cold expressions. "Brat, quickly kneel on the ground and roll towards the door. If you roll with a good posture, our young master will spare your life. Otherwise, I'll break your limbs, cripple your meridians, and throw you into the forest outside. You'll die without a burial place." Hearing this, the surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. The man who was chased away earlier also had a face full of fear. He already knew young Master Bai's identity, and he really did have such strength. Thinking of this, he walked over and said, "Little brother, I think you should give your seat to young Master Bai." Another old man walked out and advised, "That's right, when it comes to fairy, life is still more important. Young Master Bai isn't someone you can provoke. Not someone I can provoke." Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and smiled. His eyes flickered with a golden radiance. "You're just a demon beast. What, you think you can be arrogant in front of me just because you have a bit of a bloodline? 3 seconds have passed, you'll have to bear my wrath." Lin Xian reached out and grabbed Bai Zongsheng. Bai Zongsheng's expression changed as he slammed the table. "Cripple his hand." The person next to him slashed his saber at Lin Xian's arm. Clang! The surrounding void collapsed, and countless people were in an uproar. With that slash, the young man's hand would definitely be broken. However, when they widened their eyes to take a look, they were all dumbfounded. They realized that Lin Xian's hand was intact, but his saber was broken in half. The guards were also stunned. Lin Xian's hand grabbed Bai Zongsheng's head. Chapter 49-40. This sudden change caused everyone to be dumbfounded. They didn't expect this young man to be an expert. So what? He was dead for sure. Young Master Bai wasn't someone he could offend. The 4 guards angrily shouted, "You dare! Release the young master and kneel on the ground to apologize. You still dare to be arrogant?" Lin Xian grabbed one of Bai Zongsheng's hands and exerted force. With a cracking sound, the hand was twisted into a fried dough twist. Bai Zongsheng screamed in pain. When had he ever been tortured like this? "Damn it! Do you know who I am?" Just as he finished speaking, one of his legs was broken and turned into a bloody mist. He didn't dare to say anything else. "Spare my life, I won't do it again." The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. This guy was too ruthless. Some people's eyelids twitched. This brat was going to suffer a calamity. The 2 people from the Alchemy Kingdom were also surprised, especially the little scholar. His beautiful eyes were shining brightly. This guy was an expert. He was probably at the top of the Sage Monarch grounds. He was a genius. Lin Xian grabbed Bai Zongsheng's broken body and walked outside. Soon he arrived at the edge of the chariot. He opened the door. The guards inside wanted to say something, but Bai Zongsheng roared, "Didn't you hear? Open the door for me." The guards didn't dare to say anything and quickly opened the door. The chariot was already moving through the forest at a very fast speed. Everyone turned to look, wondering what Lin Xian wanted to do. Lin Xian sent Bai Zongsheng flying with a kick. Bai Zongsheng turned into a meteor and crashed into a distant mountain peak. The guards also roared and rose into the air, leaving the war chariot. "Brat, just wait for your death." They wouldn't let him go. Lin Xian coldly snorted and returned to Xueqi's side. He smiled and said, "The annoying fly has left. Let's eat." Xueqi nodded. In truth, with Lin Xian's strength, Xueqi didn't need to worry about such a fly. After they had finished eating, Lin Xian and Xueqi returned to the resting room and started cultivating. Lin Xian wouldn't miss such a good opportunity if he cultivated the 2 divine bodies at the same time. Of course, there was an even more effective way to cultivate. Lin Xian pulled Xueqi's hand and walked into the secret chamber. Then he set up a formation. When daybreak arrived, Xueqi's small face was flushed red. She snuggled up to Lin Xian. She really wanted to spend the rest of her life with her husband. Lin Xian said, "He will." Of course, he knew that now was not the time. He still had the peerless dragon prince, so he had to cultivate even harder. At this moment, there was a sudden loud noise. The war chariot came to a sudden stop, and the force caused everyone's bodies to sway. However, these experts instantly stabilized their bodies and cried out in alarm. What was going on? The manager of the war chariot also frowned. Soon, he walked over with a gloomy expression. The war chariot's door was opened, and a terrifying demonic beast's aura appeared outside. The guard, who had left before, walked over and shouted coldly, "Where is that lad? Ask him to come here and accept his death." Bai Zongsheng's voice echoed out. Since you dared to attack me, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death." Upon hearing this, the scalps of the people in the vicinity became numb. They knew that Bai Changsheng had come back to take revenge. When Lin Xian heard this, his expression became gloomy. He said to Xueqi, "You should rest here, and I will go out to deal with this matter." "Hurry up," Xueqi said with a smile. She wasn't worried about Lin Xian at all. After Lin Xian came out, the formation was restored, and he walked outside. He had come out. Many people had seen Lin Xian in the restaurant that day, and this was why they all cried out in alarm at this moment. An elder walked over and said with a gloomy expression, "Did you injure young Master Bai? Hurry up and apologize to young Master Bai." Someone next to him said, "Lad, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you know who I am?" He was a member of the Pulsatile race. The Pulsatile race was a powerful demon race that lived in the everlasting forest. How could you provoke them? Yes, the ancestor of the Pulsatile race was an existence known as the Limitless Immortal Elder. One voice after another resounded. It was obvious that the other party was very famous. No one was optimistic about Lin Xian's chances. Some people even sneered and told Lin Xian to go down and apologize. The two people from the Alchemy Kingdom also came over. When the little scholar saw this scene, he shook his head and sighed. He was too young. He didn't even know the identity of the enemy. If he acted rashly, he would be dead for sure. That young man said, "Sister, do you want to help him?" The little scholar became anxious after hearing this. "You have to call me Big Brother when you are outside. Did you hear me?" The young man smiled bitterly and shook his head. "He's my big brother. Do you want to save him?" No matter what, he was still a top-notch genius. "Okay, tell him that if he is willing to serve me for 100 years, I will consider saving his life." The young man nodded and came over. "Little brother, my name is Yao Chen. You have provoked an incredible character. My big brother can save you, but you have to work for our clan for 100 years. How about it? It is a good deal." The surrounding people were surprised. It seemed that this young man's background was not ordinary. They all stared at Yao Chen. Lin Xian smiled and glanced at the little scholar. The little scholar raised his chin and had a look that said, "Hurry up and agree." "No need, I don't care about these people. I can deal with them with a wave of my hand. No need to trouble you." With that, Lin Xian placed his hands behind his back and walked forward. Yao Chen recognized him. The little scholar behind him was even more surprised and his expression sank. "Damn guy, who do you think you are? This princess wanted to save you out of kindness, but you don't appreciate it. Damn it." The surrounding people widened their eyes. Could it be that this brat also had a great background? No way, they couldn't see through his identity. Could it be that he was very strong? How strong could a young man be? "I know that the great sage is here." Hearing this, many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Even if you are a top genius, can you fight against the great sage? They didn't think so. Even if you can fight against the great sage, can you fight against the entire Pulsatilla clan? So this brat is dead meat. Yao Chen came back and sighed. "Sister, he won't listen." The little scholar gritted his teeth. "Damn it, let's go. I want to see where he got the confidence to reject me." She also prepared to go over. The brother and sister also walked over. Lin Xian walked at the front. When the guard saw him, his eyes shone with a sharp light. "Brat, you finally came out. Quickly kneel down and accept your death." Bai Zongxing also jumped out and gritted his teeth. "Brat, you didn't expect me to come back, right? You dare to break one of my arms and legs and throw me out? I will torture you to death bit by bit." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.